Oh, how you doing, dude?
All right. Is it your May 2-4 weekend?
Okay, it's hilarious that you say that because that's exactly what I was going to start telling you a little bit of a story about.
Because I saw
So,
like it's the May long weekend and it's raining, and I'm like, it's only the 17th. I'm like, shouldn't the 2-4 weekend be a week from now? But I get it the way that Victoria
oh
or
yeah,
whatever her day lands.
yeah. So this is what I called what Chris is talking about. Is this is what I called our or titled our pod or our recording anyway, and it's May long weekend. I knew he'd know exactly what I was talking about when he seen the recording as he came into the whatever StreamYard studio because it never fails. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I can remember maybe one or two May long weekends. And for any Americans out there that are wondering what the fuck we're talking about, May long weekend comes right before Memorial Day weekend. And to your point, I think it does kind of, well, it flip flops by a few days every year, right? It's not always on the same number of the month,
Well, it ends up
year over
being a
year.
Monday. And I think, and I'm almost wondering if Memorial Day kind of dictates when Victoria Day happens. And that's what throws people off because generally in your mind, you think it's called the 2-4 weekend because it's generally around the 24th and you want to drink a 2-4 a beer,
Right.
like the third weekend. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's the third Monday of the month. Like, does that make
I,
sense for this month if we open the calendar?
yeah,
It
this
does.
would be the
Yeah.
third weekend of May. So yeah,
Yeah.
we all call it May long weekend. I believe it's technically called Victoria Day weekend, right? And it never fails. It always rains. And funny enough, the weekend following, which is always the American Memorial Day weekend, it's nice. And every Canadian goes like, "What the fuck? We get screwed every year, but the Americans get the good weather, right?" So, no shit, it started raining today, and it's Saturday of May long weekend.
Damn. Well, because
Yeah.
like your weather is probably a little bit better, generally speaking. Like take the rain away. Like what's the actual
Mhm.
temperature there right now?
We're like, it's a little cooler today, I guess, maybe 60, 65. No,
Okay.
it's 60.
Right. So like in Ontario, it's kind of the defining weekend of okay, cars are out. You go to whatever beach, like Wasaga Beach was the huge one that you would go to. And dude, it would always be hit or miss. And I remember the one year me and Lewis drove up one of his convertibles. And that's the one where he has the story, right? Like the first time I think he actually came to Canada with me, and I knew it was going to get colder driving up, especially through the mountains of the Virginias and everything. So I had a pair of tearaways stashed underneath my seat in the
Right.
car. And so as soon as the sun goes away and we start getting into the mountains and everything else, like it's starting to get, reasonably cold. So I bust out these tearaways underneath the seat. And Lewis is like, dude, what the fuck? And I'm like, dude, it gets cold. I think he only packed shorts, like one pair of jeans that he ended up wearing like every single day because it was right around the May 2-4 weekend. Because I'm like, man, this is a perfect time to get the car imported to Canada, listed up for sale because it's like the season. And dude, I swear to God, there were snowflakes on the beach on like the
Yeah.
day because the weather was so bad. But like, in I guess the opposite side of the spectrum, I remember a year in my silver convertible and we had the top down, dude. It was so fucking hot. Like we all
Yeah.
got roasted like friggin' lobsters. And yes, it's really like people will go out no matter what, but the weather it's just too unpredictable. Like you don't go planning like definitive plans that you're relying on the weather for that weekend because it's going to go one way or the other.
100%. Yeah. It's it's the weekend that everybody looks forward to because like you said, this is like the first weekend where we can all take a deep breath, shake the winter out of our bones and go like, now we're getting into spring, summer, and we got sun ahead of us, right? But to your point, I've had way more shitty ones than good ones.
Mm.
But yeah, the good ones do stand out. Depending on where you are in Canada, and the folks up in the northern states will know what we're talking about. But like, yeah, we still can get some goofy weather this time of year, depending on where you are. I mean, hell, out in like the central prairies of Canada, like Winnipeg's probably still in the like negative temps. Like those poor bastards have snow till June. It's crazy. But yeah, it's something we all look forward to, and it never fails. Like it pisses rain, and people, because they're so cooped up and ready to like let their hair down, they all treat May long weekend like, okay, let's de-winterize the boats, right? Blow the antifreeze out of the lines, let's hit the lake. And then this shit happens. But hitting the lake this time of year in Canada anyway, especially in the mountains, isn't enjoyable. I mean, sure, there's no ice on it, right? So that's a plus. But all the snow is coming out of the mountains and filling those lakes, and it is cold. Like your dog's teeth chatter when you take them down to the lake for a swim. It's the water's cold.
Yeah.
But people do it. And I can remember guys in Calgary, Alberta, like we would have typically shitty weather up until May long weekend as well. And everybody'd want to come out to BC and they'd all want to bring their boats. And I'm like, you're going to be disappointed. Like you're doing nothing but burning fuel. I bet you won't even put that boat in the water. Or if you do, you're going to have a raincoat on.
Yeah. Yeah, and like getting out in a jet ski or something, like you're just like you don't want to fall off. Yeah, I mean, like
No.
you'll take it out, and like yeah, it might be nice in the sun, but man, you start splashing or fucking around, and you're like, yeah, no, like you might as well be in a wetsuit.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. We get it. Like we're already full bloom, like everything's rocking and rolling where we are. So if a person was to come out here on their holiday, I mean, you got a pretty decent chance you're going to have okay weather, at least better weather than where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's raining, like, yeah, that screws plans up quite quickly, right?
Yeah. Well, shit, man,
Now,
it's hot here. Like even today, John was like, "Oh, yeah, no, Gary wouldn't do well today." It's like the
oh,
classic 95 degrees feels like 105. Like just
really?
like I'm good with it. It's not as extreme as when you were here, but like again for, we are in May. It's sort of like, okay, yeah, summer's ready.
Well, yeah, because when I was there in June, when did we do that? Middle of June? And it was abnormally hot then, right?
Yeah. Like I want to say the summer you came was like some record of like there was literally 100 days of 100 degrees plus or
Jesus
something like
Christ.
absolutely insane. And last year wasn't like that. Last year was actually pretty tame. But like you just don't know anymore. Like they keep messing with the damn weather.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? So it's like you really don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, we see more storms. There's been lots of storms that have happened, but I don't know. We'll see how long it takes for the corn to get all dried up. Right now, it's green and everything's green and beautiful and perfect. So
How long does it take for that stuff? So I guess maybe we should explain a little bit. I had all kinds of questions for Chris when I went down to his place first time about the corn because I'm like, is this corn that you eat? Like, what's the deal, right? And I don't know. Maybe you're better off telling this story. Like, you don't eat it. This is like fuel or food for animals or whatever, right? It's filler
yeah,
food.
yeah, yeah. So it gets planted in April. And well, what are we? We're the third weekend of May, and I'd say right now it's like its prime peak. Like the shit's taller than me.
That
So
fast, hey?
it grows fast. And for whatever reason, I genuinely in my mind believe that the first year we were here, like they didn't harvest until like August or something like super late. And the year following, this I think it would have been following or close to, like when you were here,
Mm-hmm.
like I think they hacked it, like it was dried up and they hacked it either they hacked it right after we left actually because it was up in our videos and dry for Motor City, which would have been like second week of July, and I think they hacked it like literally while we were gone.
Right.
Um, but like it was dried out in like June. You know what I mean? And just kind of like wiltering. And it's almost to the point like, are they going to do anything with that? Or like, do they file their farmer's insurance because the corn's all dried up and doesn't work? But no, they still harvest it. And the one year they harvested, and dude, like it pretty much grew back. Like they almost could have got a second batch out of it. And like I don't know enough about all this stuff. But all I know is like, dude, there's so much corn. Like corn and corn and corn around here for days, and the mazes that get you lost. And we have cotton and obviously like traditional hay and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Like it's crazy how fast that grows, because in Canada, I'm used to, you get the corn mazes around October, and that's what people are
Right.
doing. They got the big cauldrons, they're boiling corn because it's like getting harvested in October. And here the shit's ready to go like May, June.
Well, and I mean, I'm sure there's somebody out there that listens that knows the questions that we're asking and thinks we're both idiots, but maybe the shit that they're growing for like fuel and, livestock food and all the rest of it, um, is some like fast growing, whatever type of strand, right?
Yeah, it could be. And yeah, maybe it does better once it's dried out and gets to a certain point. Like it's not like you're growing sweet corn that's supposed to be edible, but um,
Yeah,
it's
because
pretty
you'd
crazy
think
too.
dried out, I mean, it must maintain whatever property they need, but you'd
Yeah,
think dried out, like there'd be fuck all left of it and probably useless, but apparently not.
yeah. But
Yeah,
hey,
definitely different from what we're used to with the edible shit, right?
oh, for sure, 100%. And
Hmm.
makes a beautiful backdrop when it's up and extra privacy.
Totally. And then makes a hell of a mess when they buck it all down.
Yeah, yeah. You always hope the wind's blowing the other way.
No shit. Yeah. Um, okay, I told you before we started recording, I was going to tell you about my computer woes here. So, and this is all part and parcel with a little bit of a Foxbody story. So, I got a quarter horse, and I guess maybe I should start by laying on the sword here, because I went running around saying before I went to get my car tuned, like, quarter horse this and moats that and whatever. Well, listen, I don't have a quarter horse in my car. I have an F3 or an FJ3. It's just the plug-in chip, no battery, no nothing. It gets burned through this Jaybird system, and I never have to worry about it dying like a quarter horse does because that little watch battery in it, right? So the downfall to that chip is, well, it's great and it never dies, whatever, but you have no ability to update it or email anyone or data log or do any of that stuff. So an order is placed with Moats. And actually, I've had a lot of people through my posts respond to me and go, "What's the deal? Like, how did you get a quarter horse?" So I guess people aren't aware that Moats is back up and running.
Yeah,
Um, I asked Matthew about it when I was out seeing him when we were tuning the car, and he said, I haven't had a lot of contact with him, but I have placed some orders and they worked. They sent me the shit I ordered. So I guess all's good. They're maybe just went on holidays for a year or two, you know? So anyway, that's good. For anybody still farting around with this stuff and not running down the Holly Road. But got a quarter horse, and I actually got one of these Jaybird burners things, so I could like burn this chip and not have to have the quarter horse in there full time. Well, then, because I bit the bullet years ago, well, our whole fucking family did pretty much, and supported Steve Jobs in every product that he fucking manufactures, right? So we're an Apple family. And turns out Apple doesn't agree with some of this old data logging shit, right? I'm like, fuck. Well, because I'm a bit of a hoarder and I hang on to shit because there's probably a photo I'm going to need on it sometime or whatever, I got a couple old PCs laying around that I blow the dust off the other night. And these fuckers are ancient, right? But doing my research on like what system requirements I need in order to do the data logging and everything, turns out I like fall right under, like right in the bare bones basics of what I need, like Windows 7 I don't really know PC shit all that well, but I mean, the RAM and the fucking video card, all the stuff will work. So I'm trying to figure out through, and anyone, I don't know, this might make up a lot of people bored to listen to or whatever. If you've never had to jump through these hoops to try to like download the software, get the fucking license and all the racket that surrounds this, but it's fairly confusing, right? And I'm sure this poor bastard that I'm dealing with at EEC Analyzer thinks that, like, who is this fucking guy that is emailing me? Because I'm following like YouTube video instructionals for what I should be doing, emailing this guy at like 12:30 in the morning, because I want to get this shit going and trying to get a license from him. When I should be just buying this stupid little USB dongle that allows me to like transfer it, like the software license from computer to computer. But I'm up in bumfuck nowhere and I don't want to wait 2 weeks and get hosed on duty and shipping and all the rest. I'm like, I'll lay on the sword, give me the electronic version of this license so I can fucking just start data logging my car and start working my way through this. I want to get out and enjoy it some more. Anyway, dude, I think I've got this old PC. I've got enough dust knocked out of it and like cookies and internet files and shit. Like Pornhub ruined that fucking thing. You know what I mean? So I think I've got her to a point where I can actually like plug it in and go, but I'm still waiting on my license from Buddy. I don't know if he works as hard on Saturdays, but yeah.
Right.
Once I get that, I think I can plug it in and start fucking around a little bit.
Well, that's good, man. Like it's in Foxbody John, my neighbor's car, right? So, little familiar and it's clunky. Like I get it. You're going like this like USB. Well, we'll do USB, but like I know some of those things, it's like, oh, you need a serial to USB adapter. Then you got to like go into the drivers and like fool it into thinking that the USB is like a COM1 or a COM2 or whatever the fuck
Yeah.
setting. Like you got to do all this like super weird stuff, and it's like, who the hell like managed to go through all these hoops to like? And it's like they did it the hard way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, um, dude, I got the software for the M5, the E60, with all these special tools that can go in and like those cars. Like, there's a circuit for everything, as we know. Like the body control module is like whatever circuit one, each wire is a parameter at the end of the day. And I want to say, so I forget how much it was a license to buy this, and it's like three different tools. Like one's like a coding programming, one's like a like data logging, whatever, and then the other one's for like troubleshooting diagnostics and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I like attempted, and there was literally I think 5 folders that were all like WinZipped. Then you had to extract them all. And then like in there, I'm like, oh, I can figure this out. No big deal, right? And then, dude, I spent like 20 minutes. And I was like, I paid for the PDF manual, and the manual was $15. Dude,
Yeah.
it was like 50 fucking pages of screenshots and everything that you had to do. And like, I almost felt like I was like cheating in a test for like, it was bringing me back to like when I was in like computer programming, networking, whatever in college. And it's like,
Yeah.
you're just looking at the book like, okay, yeah, I got to put this line of code in. Okay, yeah, no, I got to do this setting. Like, dude, it
Yeah.
was the weird, like, and it took literally, I think 2 hours to install these 3 things.
Right.
Like, that's how massive this thing. And I'm like, all this just because I want to program my friggin' newer style taillights. You know what
Oh,
I
is
mean?
that
Like,
all it was?
yeah, it's like it'll do so much more. I'm like, I just want to get rid of the light saying the bulb is out when the bulb really isn't out. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I get it. I totally get it, and um, it's really like binary, all that stuff, right? Like especially the motes and all that stuff. It's like all ones and zeros. You might as well be in there with a binary editor going.
Well,
Uh,
yeah. Funny enough, that's what the software is called, and the license that you need is like binary editor.
yeah.
BE.
Well,
Yeah, that's the
yeah.
fucking name of it. And it's funny too, because like when you think about things in current day format with like I don't know. I'm getting over my ski tips here trying to talk about this stuff, but you know, data that we deal with, say for YouTube, right? Like we have gigabytes of video and we have megabytes of photos and all this stuff. Like this stuff is like files that could probably you could fill a calculator with. Like they're just tiny little, like you say, ones and zeros.
Yeah.
It's like a text message worth of data, you know? And that's what we're dealing with. But yeah, like you say, serial cable to USB to fucking S cable to, and yeah, you're like trying to trick your computer into dealing with all this old shit.
Oh, and
And
just
my computer's old.
yeah, and then just wait till you open it up, and then it's like, oh, you got to like start the emulation first. And once the emulation is going, then you can actually start seeing and doing stuff. But like with that said, the emulator feature of Quarter Horse is pretty sweet because you can literally emulate your tune without writing the changes to it. So like you're like real time changing things and almost testing like your proof of concept before you say, oh, okay, everything on the emulation is now good. Let's write this and like make it solid. Versus
Super
what
long.
you were doing before, get some data log, change some things, burn the chip, stick it back in the computer, see how it does, pull the chip out, make your changes, burn it again. Like, and I watched Murillo do that on the Blue Brother car with the old SCT chip, and it was like, 15 times of back and forth of
Well, see,
burning, pulling, data logging.
okay, I may screw this explanation up, but see, Matthew didn't operate in that fashion. So he's sitting there with his laptop and he's got a quarter horse plugged into my computer and he's doing his thing on the dyno. And then once he has that set up, he goes from that laptop to like a desktop and burns the chip in like
Right.
final format.
So the fact that he had the quarter horse in there was allowing him to pull everything real time and emulate his changes. And then you
Right.
took that data and burnt your chip.
Yep.
So, right, versus the SCT, which funny enough, I have one sitting on my desk here with
Yeah.
the
Little dialy.
6 or 7 tune setting dial, which isn't, that's optional. But yeah, like if you just have that, you got to burn it, then you got to pull it out every time you want to make a change, right? So that's kind of the
Right.
nice thing of the quarter horse. Then we got this
Yeah.
old girl. Remember this guy?
Oh yeah.
The old super
Yep.
chips from the ship box,
Or hypertech or whatever.
the
Yeah.
hyper chip or whatever it was.
Well, so this Jaybird thing that I've said a couple of times, that is the little burning module.
Yeah.
So it essentially, well, it looks just like what the hell's the port called on the computer? The J port or whatever. It kind of looks like that. And yeah, you just plug your chip into it, transfer, and plug your chip in, and then you're not worried
Nice.
about your quarter horse hanging out of the fucking case of your computer and stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, that's cool,
So I'm
man. Yeah.
kind
So
of,
I was gonna say like on the Moats thing, because yeah, as far as I knew, he was done as well, right? And then we had done some data logging on John's car, and he just uploaded it up there. And like months went by, and then all of a sudden, it's like, here's a tune. Because
oh,
I feel like I might be wrong with this, but I feel like depending on what you buy, you get like lifelong tuning. Or like updates or whatever on like if you make mods, it's like you can always send in and he'll go in and revise it, or they will, or whoever's responsible. But yeah, so there's some truth behind their operating. I don't know at how fast or how quickly or at what capacity, but like I've got tunes as of recent, like in the past 4 months. And you know what I mean? So they're not dead.
yeah. Well, and yeah, like I placed the order for this quarter horse because I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do. I've got the opportunity through another trip I've got to do to like possibly buzz by Matthews and blow a day and do whatever with him. But I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Hauling the fucking car all the way out to him again, like whatever. We should be able to do this remotely. And in theory, we've done all the heavy lifting, i.e., like, the drivability is 99% there. Couple
Yeah.
tweaks we got to make to it, but other than that, we should be able to do this all remotely, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, like your wide open throttle stuff is all taken care of, which is,
yeah,
what the dyno's for. So yeah, it's just like, all right, let's solve the, 1600 to 2000 RPM driving around town, coming to a
yeah,
stoplight issues.
totally. Well, and then you start like looking at the economics of hauling your car over there again. And I'm like, why don't I just spend $250 on a fucking quarter horse instead of 300 in fuel hauling my
Yeah.
car out there, running the risk of getting ran off the road with it, all the stuff, right? So this is how it all began. And anyway, we're not quite to like data logging yet, but hoping maybe this weekend I can start pulling some whatever little gremlins out of it and get it over to them. And yeah, and then we got the power of the internet. Like, bang, here's your email, here's your file, right? Like,
Yeah.
go have fun.
Nice.
So, now, another little update I got for you, buddy. So you actually messaged me when I posted that picture, like, oh, what are all those fun little goodies you got in your picture, right? So, and actually, I was surprised that I didn't tell you about this before, or maybe I didn't. It just whatever
I
went
think you did
in one
mention the
ear.
whole little like as soon as you mentioned in the idiot light area of the bezel, it sort of like kind of gave me a little reminder. I'm like, oh, I think he talked about something about that before. Like the picture just looked like, okay, lots of inputs and outputs. Like, what the fuck? He's gonna turn this thing into like the Knight Rider. He's gonna have so much fucking data blinking through his dash.
Well, not only that, I figured, fuck, now I just opened the floodgates. I'm gonna get lit up here because what happened to what do you need to monitor all this bullshit for, right? Nobody needs that many gauges and blah blah blah. But it didn't. I skated through that one, at least until now. But where I think this might tickle your rear end a little bit is they kind of got their start, or they're probably most well known in the like German car realm.
Hmm.
And so their font and their screen and everything emulates that sort of message center that BMW and Audi and all those guys have. Color, fucking text, everything. So guys are taking geez, and I'm gonna draw a blank on the car, but anyway, it was some kind of Audi, and up in like sort of the SN95 clock area of the dash, there's like a message center that'll give you whatever, right? Coolant temp, this, that, and the other thing. And guys are like, well, hey, I got a turbo on my car now, and I'd like a boost gauge that I can put in there that matches all the rest of this stuff. And that's where these little 1.3-inch square or rectangle screens come in, because you can throw up to two things that you want to monitor in a 1.3-inch screen.
Hmm.
And then it comes with a little momentary touch switch where you can go two items, one or the other item, whatever you want. And this is all happening in like, well, a 1.3-inch fucking screen, tiny, you
Right.
know?
So when you
Mm-hmm.
installing that bad boy?
Well, this is kind of part and parcel with some other shit that I'm whatever running myself into the wall with. My Speedo is still fucked. Okay. After all that shit I went through to try to have a Speedo to go down to pits with, I think it's just given up again. And now,
Right.
when I last worked the bugs out of the car and then me and Kaylee took it out, right before we went out, I pulled the Speedo mechanism out of the T5 and my gear was still good. I'm like, sweet. Okay. Maybe it's just where this is all stemming from is my Speedo cable coming through the firewall and past the blower is on a real goofy angle. And I've
Yeah.
tried it like shoving it down and under. I've tried coming over the top. I've tried everything. And it's in such an area that the cable inside of that sheathing, I think, is just saying, fuck it. I'm not moving for you. Right.
Yeah.
And it's translating back to the Speedo. So anyway, I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Maybe I just bite the bullet. I know how easy it is to work with those reimagined LMR Dakota Digital dashes. I'll just say fuck it and get one, right? And then pull that cable right out of there. because I actually need the real estate to run a lot of these wires through for my new idiot light info center, right?
Right.
So anyway, yeah, the bezel's coming off. I'm like, well, shit, may as well do the dash at the same time, try and save myself from doing it 2 or 3 times, and run all this other stuff. And actually, I think it should all work out. I've kind of worked it out in my head. Like that LMR dash will give you, well, you got to flip it over to a digital oil pressure sensor, right? And coolant sensor. And those are 2 of the things that I also had these little 1.3-inch screens programmed for. So I should be able to piggyback off,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
I see
Send
what you're
signal
saying.
to both, yeah,
Yeah.
to both units at the same time. And then I also did intake air temp, coolant temp, and AFR, dual air fuel.
Right.
And that's a whole nother kit as well. Like fucking I'm down the rabbit hole here, buddy. This outfit is okay, the gauges, if anyone's curious, is Zeta Tech. Really nice to deal with. You go back and forth with the guy that programs them for you. And then the AFR guys is Zetronics. You heard of these guys at all?
No.
I forget what the hell the other one is that a lot of guys were using, but apparently they're shit. And these Zetronics ones are the ones to go with.
Right. Well,
So I
damn,
can
this
actually
I
utilize
like
those
this.
bungs.
Yeah. You're gonna be a good guinea pig for this operation.
Fuck, I know, right? Like, yeah, it is whatever. It's all fun, cool shit though. You know what I mean? Like it's not,
Yeah.
it's the stuff that, guys like you and I get a kick out of.
Yeah. Well, and I like wiring too, so it's kind of, I
Me
guess,
too.
the weird thing. So, um, can you, like, I guess at the end of the day, you could monitor all your air pressure from your air ride and stuff through that too, right? Because you'd just be monitoring pressure.
Yeah, you totally could.
So you just get, and those
Especially
pressure sensors would probably be, depending on how they're calibrated into the unit, they could be inputs, right?
100%. Yeah.
Okay.
So I know thinking my way back through this, because the soapbox that I stood on is like, who the fuck needs all these gauges? You know what I mean? Like if you're tuned right and you're doing your thing, you should be fine. And anyway, here I am going
Yeah.
down the gauge road. But yeah, one of the things that Zeta Tech sends a lot out of is air ride related stuff. And then if you've got these pressure sensors like I do that are digital, as opposed to like having to run a line up to a mechanical gauge to read your pressure, then yeah, you totally could.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah. So I've actually got my silver notch on the two post.
Oh,
Yeah, for because like the clutch started slipping a bit at LMR 2 years ago.
well,
So I'm like, okay,
when I drove it, you were saying that, hey, like it might fight you a little bit, like the clutch is getting
yeah,
a little long on the tooth, right?
yeah, and like rightfully so. That was like a weekend track car that's nitrous and everything else. Like, yeah, the car had whatever 20,000 kilometers on it when I got it, but those were driven.
Yeah.
um, So yeah, so I'm like, okay, I got to give attention to the car. So it's up. I got to do the lower control arms. I want to switch out because I had that bushing failure in the back and whatnot. Um, and then I'm like, am I gonna add AC to this car?
Oh,
Probably. So like the thing that kind of sparked me with the AC was the fact that NPD has brought back the brass heater cores or the brass
oh
and
yeah.
copper. So I'm like, you know what? Do the core like in a other box that I have, get a new evaporator core in there, just pull the fucking dash out and call it done. But then I'm like, okay, if the dash is out, what else do I need to, address or what could I do? And the one thing is as much as I guess my gauges and controls for my air ride being in the center armrest, it's not the most convenient thing. Like I'd have to feel something or hear something or I'm looking down to monitor air pressure. And the kit's been phenomenal in terms of, I mean, like I've never been driving along and like, oh shit, I lost a bunch of air pressure and, one
Yeah.
corner, got to try and air it up. Like I've never had anything like that. But um, yeah, I'm like, might be time to like upgrade the monitoring of certain things here and there. So that's why I was asking, because I'm like, maybe if the dash is coming out and everything else, I can monitor air pressure. Maybe that'd be a good, integrated stock like OEM look feel where, there's not gauges everywhere and everything else.
Yeah.
Minimalist
It's,
approach.
yeah, it's true. Well, and the other kind of magical piece of this puzzle is Mark's the guy's name, but he goes by Incon Fox on the Instagrams there. So he was the first one to do this. So I'm not trying to say that I've invented something here. I literally stole this idea from him because I think it's brilliant. Is yeah, who needs those idiot lights out of the 87 through 89 dash bezels, right? Most
Yeah.
people get rid of them doing 90 to 93, right? So, but he had designed and 3D printed this deal and threw little speed nuts in all four corners of essentially 3 squares where you can run 3 of these little 1.3-inch screens, and they contour to the dash bezel and everything. And yeah, so that is what makes these little gauges work or sit where they're supposed to. I think it's, like to get it in where it's supposed to sit, I think there's some gluing involved, but I mean,
Right.
meh, right? That's
Whatever.
the,
Yeah.
yeah, the least of your worries. But yeah, dude, so you could totally run down that road, get one of these little screens for, air ride monitoring, or hell, you could get two and do all four corners out of two of them.
Yeah. Hmm.
Cause, or are you just front and rear, or can you fuck around with all four corners?
I can do all four.
Okay. So yeah, you could
Yeah.
monitor all four corners and then have a whole nother square for whatever else you wanted to monitor.
Yeah. Well, I could even do like if I wanted to retain like the analog controls, what I could do is I could actually just set up pressure warnings, right? And just because that's really the only thing that I would really like to see. Because like once I set the ride height, it's sort of like set it and forget it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like if you wanted automated pressures, like okay, when you turn the car off, air it out, and you turn it on, and you got safe mode or tow mode or whatever. That's kind of more that's in air management stuff. So like to me, it's really just okay. Am I below 10 psi?
Right.
Throw an alert. On the rear. Am I below 50 psi in the front? Throw an alert. So that's kind of the only thing. I just kind of need like two real readings or a way to kind of make that work, or
Mm-hmm.
just kind of monitor the combined or whatever. Come up with some thresholds and some programming, but
Right. Yeah. It's one of those things, right? Like, well, kind of like your AC theory, right? Like, wow, shit. Should I do it now? And while the dash is out, right? Should
yeah,
I do this, that, and the other thing and whatever else? And that's how these projects turn into like months and months and months.
yeah. But like it's got to get done. The white, I still haven't touched the white car, right? Since we took that to Lone Star Fox Fest. Like that thing needs its timing cover, and I got the cam and the P or not even P heads, whatever traditional GT40 heads and the
Mm-hmm.
gear drive and all that shit to go on it. But um, now I'm on the Lincoln kick, man. After going to Lone Star Roundup the other weekend, I'm like, fuck, I need to get going on this damn Lincoln. The good news is the guy that's fabbed me some air intake boxes that bolt into like the factory, like where your factory air box would be, and then it's just kind of on the right angle for your piping for the Godzilla swapper Coyote. Um, he's actually designed an oil pan that clears the engine cradle of the Lincolns.
Oh,
And his buddy has done a couple custom sets of long tubes that will work in the Lincoln, and which I didn't even know of this transmission. I knew of the 4R 100, which is in my Lightning, but there's this like 4R70E or some shit that I guess is the smaller thing. And so he just emailed me today. He's like, yeah, the long tubes work with this transmission in the Lincoln and whatever. And I'm like, so I emailed him back. I'm like, how do you control that thing? Because apparently it was like like 2008 to 14 4-speed and something. So
Hmm.
it's smaller than what was in my Lightning. And obviously probably has the same modular bolt pattern that'll bolt up. But I don't know if I want a 4-speed. I'm hoping I can get a 10R80 in it, is like what I really want to do.
Yeah, 10 speed be cool. Is the idea to put a Godzilla in the Lincoln?
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, because the motor's
Yeah, because
here, the cam's here, like custom valve covers that are fucking laser etched, the infamous project. Like I got that. I got a BTR intake, got the control pack. Like I've got like everything is pretty much there, but my concern has always been like, okay, what transmission is going to fit? How's the oil pan going to clear? You know, I mean, the whole transmission tunnel, but like, I think I've just solved all of my objections or my roadblocks of why I'm not working on it. So
right.
if if that all happens, then yeah, there'll be an expedited approach to getting that car at least running. Like I want to drive it for I'll drive it patina, right? Even if
Is
the
there a motor
interior
in it right now?
no.
Nothing in it. Because what was like, was there even any motor options, or did they all just come with like a 460 or something in them?
I think they're all 460s, or they were.
Yeah. Huh. So lots of room. But I mean, yeah, the fucking nose is so long on those things, right? Like it kind of makes you wonder, like, it almost makes you think like you could probably stuff your head in behind the motor and like look at half the transmission because the nose
Well,
is so long on those cars.
well, that's just it. And a lot of guys LS swap them or were LS swapping. So, and every time that I've seen swaps, like the motor is always like as far forward to the front of the car as you can get it because the transmission tunnel is legitimately tiny on the car.
Right.
So, that's kind of where my mind was going. But like at the end of the day, whatever. If I got to cut, do like a little custom transmission hump, but again, it's a bench seat. So depending how much
Mm,
you got to like cut and go in, will that impact the bench? Or like, do you end up going to buckets with a custom center console? So like, in part of me, it's like this can be a long-term project, but like I'd
yeah.
like it to be like running and driving. So at least it's like useful. And then it's like you can keep plugging away at it over time if you wanted to. Cause I do feel like it'd be one of those cars if I make it too nice. I mean, it's uh, either I'm not going to want to drive it or I'm going to be whatever, or somebody's going to offer me too much money for it and I'm not going to want to turn it down. Then I'll be upset that I sold it.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know.
I think patina is the answer, you know? Like, I don't know. I've got it in my head. Like, I'd like to find a nice two-wheel drive square body or something to that effect. And I'm like, I don't want nice paint. Like, I
Yeah.
want solid body, but I don't want nice paint at all.
Right. I got a
You know?
beautiful emerald green convertible for you.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, tell me the story on this fucking disaster. It's a proper 7 Up car, right?
No, so 7 Up cars were only 90, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, right. So what
So
year's
this
this one?
so it's a 92, which I didn't necessarily like. We've always spoken about how 92 must have been like the number one production year for emerald green,
Yeah.
at least in Canada. So, it's just odd that it's the exact, like it's the white with the gray, like leather
Combo.
interior. Like it is a 7 Up car, just the wrong year. So it's not a
Right.
7 Up car. Um, but yeah, this guy messages me through my website and says, hey, I have this Mustang that's been in my garage for 20 years. I'd like to give it to you as a parts car. Um, because when he said something like along the lines like I'm not going to do anything with it or it's just sitting here. So,
Mhm.
and that was like literally the line. Like I didn't know what color. I didn't know if it was a 5.0 or a 2.3. I didn't know the body style, like nothing. And so I'm like, I didn't want to like ask a lot of questions because I'm like, this guy's pretty much just saying, come get the fucking thing. You know what I
Yeah, you
mean?
don't let the
So
gift horse in the mouth.
yeah. So I'm like, well, is it like what color is it? I'm like, "Oh, I think that's all I asked. Or what's the body style? You know, and like what color? He's like, oh, it's green and it's a convertible. And I'm like, okay. So in my mind, I'm like, shit, is this like the Menace to Society car? Like, am I gonna walk in on an emerald green
Right.
on silver two-tone? Like that'd be like amazing. Or am I walking into a rat trap of a 2-3 like
Yeah.
just absolute pile of shit? You know what I mean? That was like, and like knowing that it'd been so cold in the garage for 20 years, I'm like, okay, well, maybe it'll be nice or nicer, or like maybe no rust, maybe some, or you just don't know.
Yeah.
And I call up Charles, like, man, you want to go get this car with me? And, you know, to me, oh, and he says, I don't know where the keys are. I don't know if that'll change your mind. And I say, well, I can bring a drill. I can drill out the lock cylinder. I'm like, I'll bring my, like the go jacks, right? Like the wheel dollies. And I'm like, that way we can like maneuver the car. I'm like, the trailer's got a winch. You know, we'll figure it out. I'm like, is the steering wheel straight? He's like, yeah, the steering wheel's straight. Like, perfect. So I grabbed 300 bucks because I'm like, I'm giving the guy at least scrap value for the car. Which, if
Yeah.
somebody to call somebody and take it away, he probably would have got nothing. I'm like, whatever. I'll give him the money that if he could at least get it to scrap, that's what they'd give him. So roll up, he opens the door, and like whatever, shit piled. Like if you watch the video, you'll see the garage is kind of in shambles. Found out he lost his wife. He was downsizing, so he was losing the garage space. And he's like, "Well, good news, I found the keys last night." I'm like, "Great." And I'm like, I see two tailpipes. I'm like, okay, we got ourselves a 5.0 here. And then like I'm looking at the top, and aside from it being like stained from fucking rat piss or God knows what, like this top is like brand new. But then I look on the inside and it's like every single seat's roasted. Like grandma's cushion from the sofa sitting on the driver's seat just because it's so bad it needed the extra cushion.
Yeah.
Um, and it's an AOD car, so it's automatic. But pop the hood and it's like all stock. Like there's a Kenny
Oh,
Brown strut tower brace on it. And he's like, yeah, I know, you know, these cars were known to flexing. So we put the subframe connectors on and this Kenny Brown strut tower brace. But aside from that, all stock. And he's like, I didn't want to start it up because I figured the heater core would explode or something had happened. And God knows it's been sitting so long. So the story was like they drove the car. It belonged to somebody that was high up in like a local bank. And this car was bought in Temple, Texas, which was literally 20 miles from where I got it. So this car lived its whole life within 20 miles. And he, I forget what industry he was in, but he had an opportunity to go to like whatever, the tri state for a while where he was going to bank a bunch of cash and then retire. So while he
yeah.
went to bank a bunch of cash to retire, the car got parked, but he never started it when he got back. It just ended up sitting. So that was the story, man. So got it home. Of course, fuel pump. I put like power to the electronics, and you couldn't hear the fuel pump. So swapped the tank out, and fucking thing fired right. Like one of the quietest, kind of like Foxidized. Like
Right.
80,000 miles on this thing, of you know what I mean, enjoyment in the beginning, but then just sat the rest. There's not a spot of rust anywhere, but like at the same time, it's gonna need, like, you know, the radiators on borrowed time, the heater
Yeah.
cores on borrowed time. Like, you definitely want to, you
Interior
know,
shot.
flush the fluids, like all those things. Like, the windows all work, but the switch actually feels bad. So I don't know if the hydraulics will work or not. But like, man, starts up, goes through the gears, a brake booster, that's trash. You can hear it whooshing. So it's like one of those ones, you know what
Right.
I mean? Like, I wouldn't want to hack it up, but somebody definitely have to throw, you know, call it like 3 grand and like their labor into it, and you'd have like a pretty damn decent car. And the fact that the top is like brand new is a pretty good bonus.
Yeah, it was obviously stored inside.
Yeah.
Um, I know that's the thing, hey, is like, so for someone that is on the hunt for one of these cars and they say stumble across this car that you just got and they go, right, you know, I can get on marketplace and I can find some seats and I can whatever. Like, I understand how guys' minds work because I am one of them, right? And you think to yourself, I'm going to be in and out in no time and I'm cruising. The thing that you're missing in all this, to your point about the whole 3 grand, and that might be even a little light, right?
Yeah.
It's all the little fucking onesie twosie. It's the latte factor at the end of the month where you go, where the fuck did all the money go here, dear? Well, I went to Starbucks fucking 3 times a day. Like, it's all those little $5 add ups, right?
Yeah.
Of like, oh, we'll just get some window trim for it real quick. And oh, while I'm on an LMR site, because they do a real good job of going, hey, don't forget you might need this too. Ah, fuck it. Throw that in the kit too.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
6-piece headlight kit. Yeah, just add that, add some
Right.
seals and,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
no, 100%. Like, it's right on that threshold. And, like, to me, the car's worth $3,000 in parts. Like, it genuinely,
Yeah.
like, I have that Coyote swap vert that literally has the same interior combo, that the interior is in worse condition. Like, we're talking, like, aside from the seats, the rest of the interior is actually in good shape. So, like, things
Mm,
like the door panels and, like, dash, the rear plastics, like, all those things that I could utilize. And then that is a good drivetrain, like,
yep.
just go through the motor, gasket it up, do whatever. And, you're good to go, and you're 8.8 and all those things. But it's like, you don't want to hack up the car, but you know what it's worth in parts. So it's sort of like, it's a $3,000 to $4,000 car for somebody that wants to put the time and energy in. Because yeah, if you spent, let's say, 4 or 5 grand on it, you could buy one without putting yourself through the labor and all the
Yep.
bullshit. So, like, you'd have to, like, really want that color combo, or you'd have to really want it as, I'm going to put my own touches on this thing, and it needs paint at the end of the day. Like, yeah, you can get away with not painting it, but you know,
Yeah.
um, so yeah, it's one of those, like, weird cars. And depending what happens, like, I already, Bobby, my one painter, he was sort of like eyeballing it up. And I'm like, listen, dude, I'm like, if I sell this car, I'm like, I'm gonna go give the guy $1,000, like, because, like, I feel there's no way that I'm just gonna, what I mean, take this
Yeah.
car that has value and fuck him out of, like, like, I'm grateful that he was as nice and kind as he was. But I mean, like, right is right. Like,
Yeah.
it's worth more than scrap. We'll put it that way.
Yeah. Well, then you look at the other side of this from an economic standpoint. So let's say, you know, uh, you bought the car for 3 grand, you throw four in it, or five, whatever, right? Yeah, because you know what? Like by the time you put a set of wheels on it and like get it to where anyone out there that's trying to hunt for their high school dream car wants their car to be, you're probably into that car for about 10 grand, right? And then let's just say shit hits the fan and you got to sell it. What are you left with? About a $10,000 car. Like
Yeah.
there's no, when you're messing on the bottom end of these cars, you know what I mean? Like there's really no ability to like go, "Hey hun, let's go for dinner. I made a couple of bucks tonight." Like there isn't.
Right. Now, on the flip side, somebody came to me and said, "Hey, I want a Godzilla swapped convertible, and
Yep.
I want, a full custom paint and blah blah blah." Well, absolutely. You pay 3 grand for that car, you sell the drivetrain and everything else, you almost get your 3 grand back, and you got yourself a rust-free, straight, clean shell. Which,
Yep.
from that build
True.
perspective, completely different approach. You know what I mean? Or,
Yep.
or different return on your investment, because that it's the perfect, like, you know what I mean? Like, if you watch towards the end of the video, I show the underside. Like, the underside is, like, clean, clean, clean. Like,
Right.
um doesn't even really, like, the surface scale, like, of a clean car that you would see, but it'll be like some suspension stuff as a surface scale. Like, this doesn't even have that. Like, the coil springs are still, like, shiny black.
Wow.
So it's got potential for the right person. or for the DIYer that, I mean, the first person that I thought of was the guy from Ontario that his got stolen.
Sean. Yeah.
Yeah. I was
It's
like,
funny you said that, man, because as soon as you said the guy I first thought of, and then you went to think, I'm like, it's got to be Sean.
yeah.
I know, because I still think of that one picture of his car parked on his driveway, kind of nose down with the Celine's on it and stuff. Like, fuck, that was a good looking car, man.
Well, the other thing, our buddy BJ apparently knows where there's 2 more fucking 7-Up cars.
Okay, is this where the post came from? Because I'm like, shit, maybe I missed something. You know, I don't go into Facebook every day.
Yeah. So yeah, he's got something in his head about us fucking driving 3 emerald greens across country. So
So, yeah, or was it Foxtoberfest, or what was the end goal?
I'm not even sure. I think it was just like we're gonna do a cross country tour.
Holy fuck.
So I messaged him and I said, "Listen, dude, like I bought this car in Vegas, that I'm having actually struggling trying to find transport for." I'm like, it runs and drives, but I'm like, it's the same scenario. Like this thing hadn't been on the road since like 2011, and the power steering whines. The fuel pump does technically work. Like the tires are dry rotted. I'm like, maybe we should we'll go to Vegas with some money and we'll try and bet everything on all black to buy parts to fix the car. We'll probably lose all the money and we'll be left driving the car as is. And he's like, I'm fucking in. Let's do it. So,
Right.
so we might be planning this crazy Vegas drive a 93 black on black LX hatch back to Texas. Um, yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Right. Well, okay, so do you know any of the details on his two green on whites? Are they
No, 'cause
seven
I
up
just
cars?
said, I'm like, dude, if we're doing it, it means we need 2 more. He's like, I know where they are.
Oh God. I wonder if
Yeah.
Alan's coming.
Well, there you go. Or maybe Alan's got to go get them so we can get them all to
Fuck.
the starting point.
Wasn't yeah, it is.
Actually, you know
Alan
what?
was Alan from The Hangover. I wonder if
Alan's
he's
got
like
to be
that,
like
Alan.
the call emergency friend. Just like if you break down, it's like you call the Uber to pick you up and take you away, and call Alan to come deal with the car.
Yeah, he's chase truck. Oh God. That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Especially if Vegas is involved. I haven't been to Vegas in a long time.
Well, hey, if you want to get in on the activities,
Right.
or
Oh my.
what we do is we get the car from Vegas to Texas, and then we take the emerald green car the rest of the way to get it to the starting point of whatever he's coming up with.
Right. Huh. Okay, well maybe we'll have to
We'll
chat with
do
him
some
here and see
offline
what he's
planning.
thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
speaking of deals and cars and value and ROI, I told you I was going to look at a 93 Cobra today, right?
No, you didn't tell me, but you said something like on one of your social medias that you brought up you found another one or something. Oh no,
So,
right. You texted me.
okay.
The red one.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
You're gonna tell the story? Because I'm interested. I haven't heard it yet, folks. So
yeah. So a gentleman reaches out to me actually directly on WhatsApp. So he was, clever enough to actually go to the website and get my contact details. And WhatsApp is my probably preferred method of communication. So he's sends me 4 pictures of his 93 Cobra red, and 3 of the pictures look really, really, really nice. And the 4th picture is of the passenger rear quarter panel. Um, let's just put it this way: I'm surprised the rear quarter glass did not break. Is
yeah,
probably the best way to describe it.
it looks like it fucking ran itself into a combine.
Yeah.
Like,
So he says, "Hey, do you know anybody that can fix this?" And I'm like, "Actually, I do know of a competent body shop that would probably be able to help out with that." Like, what's the deal? What happened? He's like, "Oh, I got sideswiped or hit by a BMW of all things,
hmm.
and total loss vehicle. He had proper coverage via Haggerty on it, and
Well, they
he
wrote it
had,
off.
yeah.
Ooh.
So he has the shit, and I forget what it's called. There's like this salvage save or
Oh,
something that
I,
allows you to buy the car back, right? Or that you keep the car and
Cherish
they'll just,
Salvage.
there you go.
Yeah, I
So
got it on all of mine too.
yeah, so he had that on the car,
I don't
and
even think you got to buy it, dude. I think you just get it.
yeah,
Like,
so they deduct what the value of the car is from your settlement,
hmm. Okay.
essentially, or something like that. So they'll put a price on it, and then it's like, okay, if you want the car back, you get it back, but minus this.
Right.
So he's like, I'm on the fence about fixing it. I'm like, well, would you just sell it? Like, what are you looking to do? He's like, well, I got an offer of X amount from a shop locally that wants to turn it possibly into a race car, but I rather see the car go back because he's like, I've kept it as original as I could. So 49,000 miles. It's a gray cloth. It could have been leather, so the cloth got like somebody did a TMI seat cover kit to it. The old man that owned it before him apparently. So I don't know if it was originally a leather car or a gray cloth car, but it's red on gray. And I'm like, well, I'm interested in it. Like, if you don't want to fix it and you just kind of want the money, and we kind of threw a couple numbers around because he told me how much Haggerty wanted for the car. And I'm like, okay. And like, it made sense based off the pictures that I saw and what I was thinking. And I reached out to the body shop and I said, hey, man, like looking at this, like, how much do you think it's going to cost to fix it? And like, he pretty much said, like, not seeing it, probably like 12 grand ish. And like, to give you guys more perspective, right? Like, we're at this point, I'm thinking, okay, got hit in that back corner, outer quarter panel, rear bumper cover. The inner structure is probably a little messed up. It's going to have to go in a frame machine. Quarter panel and rear bumper cover will get painted, blended into the pillar and the roof line. Away you go, because the rest of the car looks that clean. So I guess the stars seemed like they were aligning because I had to go to so he lives in San Antonio, and I had to go to San Antonio this weekend to bring Jordan, Mr. Notorious's Project Zero car finally that was getting stored locally here, and we had to bring John's bad motor, my neighbor, down to Jordan so that he can look at it at his machine shop and figure out what the issue is and fix it. So I'm like, I'm gonna have a trailer empty going back. This Cobra just happened to pop up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is great. So pull up, and he had a car cover on it. Start pulling the car cover off, and I'm and vibrant red is such an ugly fucking red. Like, I don't care what anyone like. I don't like red to begin with, but vibrant red is bad red. Like, it's orange. It's not a nice color at all. But with that said, it's still a '93 Cobra, and it was shiny. Like, it was beautiful. And then I see the quarter panel, and as expected, right in the picture, it was like no big surprise, but like it looked like literally something like metal, like fucking ripped through the backside. Like, it dug into the quarter panel and ripped the quarter panel like right into the gas door area.
Yeah, this
And of
thing
course,
looked like it'd been through a Mad Max
yeah,
evening run, right?
yeah.
Like, yeah.
So get to the back of the car, undoing the cover, and then I look over to the driver's side quarter panel, and the car looks like a fucking wide body on the driver's side.
Oh, it translated all the way to the driver's side. Oh,
Yeah, and I'm
fuck.
like,
Like it got,
so the first thing I said to him, I'm like, okay, I'm like, the car's so shiny in the pictures, I couldn't even tell. I'm like, I thought the
yeah,
driver's side was like fine. And then I'm like, is the roof okay? And there was no buckles in the roof, but right on the driver's side curve of like where it start going down that B pillar, like a quarter size piece of paint, like just off the car, and you could see the shiny bare metal underneath. And I'm like,
right.
to blow a piece of paint off in that, it's like how much vibration, like
Or shock.
transferred shock went through this car, like to cause that. And it
This is explaining the write-off more now.
Yeah. So I'm like, dude, I wasn't expecting that, but I'm like, so what happened exactly? He's like, I was going out to, I think he said dinner or something. And he's like, I always go there. And he's like, it's one of those entrances when you're driving, and you know how us with our Foxes, which are generally lowered to the ground, and you're making that right hand turn into something that's an incline, well, you slow down and you're not just making a normal right hand turn because you're kind of doing the angle thing.
Oh, and
So
she
I guess
kept
this
going.
chick, 19 years old in her BMW, God knows what. He's like, I didn't hear brakes. There was no tire squealing. There was no nothing. It was just bang, like right in the. So you can imagine he's on an angle and it caught it like right in the fucking gas door. And this is how bad the impact is. The car actually had lower control arms in it, and it was the Heim joint style in the torque box, so no
Yeah.
urethane. The axle tube was bent, and the impact was not on the wheel or the tire. It was only in the quarter panel. So if you think about how hard that corner got hit and translated through that torque box with no bushing to give fuck all,
Yeah.
literally twisting the axle tube so the right rear wheel was on a fucking huge angle inside, and it actually tore about a 6-inch seam. So if you open the passenger door where the quarter panel meets the B pillar and there's seam sealer in there, it tore like a 6-inch section, and there was like you could put your hand in through
Oh,
there. So bad, a hump in the spare tire well. The rear plastics were literally, they busted themselves out of the screws and like cracked. The battery bounced itself out of the fucking tray in the opposite, like it was up on a fucking angle still. He didn't even put it back down in the tray. It's like this shit had just happened. It happened like a week and a half ago or something.
it must have
Uh,
spun the car in a full 360 or more.
yeah.
Hey, like
Like,
just
I'm like, how fast do you think she was going? He's like, at least 40. Because like it was
wow.
probably on a road that the speed limit's 45, right? So she's probably doing the limit, and whether she at least let off the throttle, God knows what. And I was like, dude, I'm so like, I know what Haggerty wants to give you. I would be negotiating that because I can only offer you parts car money for this car. Like, mind
Yeah.
you, 93 Cobra parts car money. Like, I was like prepared to pay, you know what I mean? Like I know what the drivetrain's worth to somebody that's restoring one, and the factory side skirts, and like and I know what they go for when Lewis was looking to get the factory stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it was a far cry from, a quarter panel and a rear bumper cover and a tail light and doing some blending and some pulling. Like this is now, two quarter panels, inner structure, inner rear frame rail, like, and everything. I'm like, at that point, you're painting the whole car. I'm like, I'm like, the value isn't there. I'm like, the guys that offer you more money that we're going to turn into a track car, I'm like, depending which way you want to go, or I'm like, or part the car out yourself, like,
Yeah.
um, yeah, dude, sad because it's super, super, super nice car. Like, aside from the seats not being original, like, it was like flawless
Proper
underside. Like proper,
proper
proper, proper.
93.
Like so clean and untouched. Like it didn't even have subframe connectors. He's like, I was gonna do them. And like I can't help to think, I'm like, I wonder how much, if the car had have had factory lower control arms instead of that
Right?
super stiff stuff, would it have like not been as bad?
Well, she must have caught, like, in order to bend that axle tube, she must have clipped the tire somehow, hey, or the rim.
The rim was untouched, dude.
So
Like
maybe it just caught the tire, like, but then
like
you'd think
I
it would have tore the tire off the rim too. Like, fuck.
Yeah. No, and the tire was holding air. So like I
Huh.
literally think that corner got hit so hard that like the lower control arm in that torque box just bound up, and all of that, cuz like tearing everything in the B pillar and stuff, man, like yeah. Like that car,
Oh,
and I I sent better pictures to my body guy after, and I'm like, hey man, like, here's like the reality. And he's like, those cars, what were his words? I'll actually quote this because it.
Well, this is like, remember when Adam was telling us about the apps they got to use now with the insurance providers and stuff? And it's like, yeah, take a quick picture, which like you did. And buddy's like, yeah, 12 grand, whatever, we could get this in and out, no problem.
Yeah.
Little do you know, right?
Yeah.
There's paint
So
coming off the roof of the car.
yeah. So when I sent him the pics, he's like, those frame rails are too soft to be structural. And he's like, them like the way that a Fox body is, he's like, um, way too soft. The energy travels through the entire rear of the car. He's like, it's fucked. Like, yeah, can it be fixed? Yeah, it could. You probably Aaron styles it, cut it in half, and put a fucking, you know,
New
a
back half.
complete rear back half on. But um, at that point, what's left of the value of the car? Like how much?
Yeah.
Same kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like you'd have to get that car for like 5 grand.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the
Like
value
to
of the
go
car
through
is
all
now
that
in the
work is
parts.
like what would that car be worth? Like 49,000 miles, all fixed, looking good, and everything else again. Like 30. I think even 30. Like if you documented it really well, you'd probably get it. They even call it 35, but like you'd be in it so quick. Like to get the paint
Yeah.
job right, to get the whole back half and everything straight again, and then sell it's a salvage title, no matter how you look at it. So
Yeah.
like, it's
Was
sad.
the rear hatch all jacked up?
So the hatch actually, oh, that was the
It
thing.
probably popped open.
So the latch mechanism, which on the 93s is a pretty beefy setup. I think 92 and 93 like shared a different way contraption. Dude, it was bent on a 45.
Jesus
Oh yeah.
Christ.
No, it was sad. I'm
Oh,
like, and I like the guy was super nice, and he was like, man, he's like, yeah, no, he's like, I put like tons of time and effort and money into the car trying to keep it like pristine,
yeah.
and he's like, one bad night.
Oh my God. What a shame. I was actually thinking to myself last night, me and the wife snuck away for dinner, which we haven't done in a long, long time. And it crossed my mind about taking the car. And just for whatever reason, I was like, nah, you know what? Fuck it. It's May long weekend. It'll probably be busy down there and we'll have to shoehorn it in some stupid parking lot. And I just didn't. And now hearing this story, I'm kind of like, fuck. You know what I mean? Now, look, any non-Fox body guy that heard me say that is going to be like, fuck off, dude. These cars are nothing. Like, what are you talking about? But to us, they mean something. And it only takes one 19-year-old's fuck up to
Mhm.
ruin everything that you care about automotive related. Like, Jesus, that poor bastard. Huh?
So I'm telling Britt this story at dinner tonight, and so the first thing she says to me, she's like, "Did you get those upgraded LED bulbs for your yellow car yet? Because like your brake lights suck in that car." She's like,
Oh,
"Fox body
right.
brake lights aren't very good," and I'm like, "I hear where you're going. However, following too close, whether your brake lights fucking work or not, you're following too close and you're at fault." And
Yeah.
she's like, "I'm like, and this is a bright red car, like." And I'm like, my yellow car. And I was like, my car is like one big fucking brake light. If you can't fucking see my yellow car, I'm like, you should just assume it's always stopping. It's,
Yeah.
so
It's a high vis vest on wheels. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But like rightfully so, like the taillights, because a lot of us tint our taillights and like the natural incandescent bulbs suck. I get it, the LED bulbs can be, you know, challenging here and there, but well, Travis, right? Classic LEDs.
Yep.
Um, those
Got a
seem to be
solution.
super bright. So yeah, no, I do definitely need to, because like I think, yeah, most of all my cars are all tinted. So
Yeah.
not that it's going to necessarily stop the 19-year-old that didn't even hit the fucking brake pedal to begin with.
Yeah.
Um, not to say it isn't going to help.
Yeah. You know, I'm just playing this through my mind and thinking to myself, because there's people out there that claim to be like an air quote defensive driver. I never ever did have any like defensive driving training or whatever, but I do think of myself as a very defensive driver. And in this scenario, when I play this through my mind, I think to myself, okay, there's maybe a handful of times in a year that you're in a certain scenario where you got to like throw the anchors out and come to a stop really quick, or you're doing what this fellow was doing in your car and you got to like nose your way into a weird fucking embankment thing, right? Every single time, like without fail, the very first thing I do if I'm either putting the brakes on hard or pulling in somewhere is I'm eyes to the rear view. Like
Yeah.
I always fucking check what's coming behind me.
Yeah, it's like, "Do I need to hit the shoulder, or do I need to go over
100%.
there because that motherfucker isn't gonna hit me?" I'm the same way, dude.
Now it only takes one fucking time where somebody's like right on you or whatever, like it can happen. I did get rear-ended one time. And it was like, where you're coming into a busy interstate type scenario and everybody just starts stopping, right?
Yeah.
And same thing. Whatever, the guy in front of me stopping, boom, I hit my brakes. I look in the rear view. I'm like, oh, fuck. And just did the like grab the wheel and flinch. And this broad went right underneath the back end of me, dude. Like lifted the tires right off the ground of my pickup.
Damn.
Didn't even, I couldn't, I can't say for certain if she didn't touch her brakes, but I mean, she fucking drilled me, you know? Oh my God, it was a disaster. And funny enough, I got a couple scuffs on my bumper. And the thing that like took the most beating was the hidden hitch. Like
Alright.
that went right through her fucking hood, right to the defrost vent. Like, oh yeah.
Oh,
I was funny enough going through some old photos the other day and I've still got pictures of her driver's license. Just this haggard old bird, right? Actually, she wasn't old, but looked older than she was. And we laughed at the picture of her driver's license a few times. But so I know what it's like. I actually, the only accident, knock on wood, that I've ever caused, I rear-ended somebody. So I
okay.
can't fucking, oh yeah, yeah. I had it was a 94 Explorer. Actually, this is the one I've posted a couple times where I had a sticker on the back window that said clothing optional. Fuck, I take a lot of heat for that these days, especially from my wife. But anyway, I'm coming out of college and just a beauty day out, right? Windows down. I had a fucking great big sub box in the back of that bitch, just wailing, having a good time. It's Friday, whatever. And the guy in front of me just stopped and I like truthfully wasn't watching and I got on the brakes, but not quick enough.
Damn.
Boom, drilled him I think he was driving a Ford Taurus. Actually, it was the funniest thing too, because uh right, you got that whatever 10 seconds of like, holy shit, this sucks, what just happened, whatever. He gets out, I'm getting out. I no sooner do I close my door and he closes his and he turns and looks at me. He goes, "Oh, Jesus, my neck." He says, I'm like, "Oh, fuck, here we go." Right? Like, I know where this is going. Yeah. So he sued insurance for all they were worth. Probably he's still down in the Bahamas somewhere, right? Living a good life. But all because, yeah, I rear ended him in my 94 Explorer.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Damn. And,
But knock on
man,
wood.
accidents happen. And what's funny is we were going on our rant a couple pods ago about driver's licenses and getting them and stuff, and I remembered there was, that I wanted to say something and I forgot. Or I was gonna ask you the question to see if it was the same thing for you. What was the first thing, or did you do a training or anything, or just the book?
Just the book.
Okay. So what is the first thing that the book says about driving?
Oh, Christ. You know, I don't know that I
It's a
can.
statement. It's a statement. If it kind of hints to you.
buddy, I don't know if I could tell you, but on this note, like in a similar vein, there are things out of that book that like I have a photographic memory of. Like one that this may surprise some people, even though this was a question that could have been asked on your test, is when you're coming up to a like a concrete barrier or a meridian, and you get that rectangular yellow background with like the black diagonal lines on it. The direction that those diagonal lines point downwards tells you should either go to the right or the left of it. Like that's what those diagonal lines mean. And there are left-handed ones and right-handed ones. Stupid shit like that. Like I
Right.
just have this vivid memory of going like, huh, no shit. And it just stuck with me forever. But to your point,
Here,
pal, I don't know if I can remember the statement.
so here's the statement, and it's one that we all probably don't agree with as car enthusiasts. Driving is a privilege, not a right.
All right.
Did you remember that? Like, was that a thing for you as well?
I think that might have, yeah, now that you
Because
say
that
it,
was the
I
first fucking thing that they're like, listen, like, it's not your right, it's a privilege. So you need to like respect the rules of the road and blah, blah, blah. And that was like the book said it, the driver's training said it. And, when we were going on everything, and it's because like we treat it as a right. Because if you
yeah.
take driving away, and we were actually talking, shit, I forget who it was the other day. Me and Britt were somewhere, and this old man comes in, and I don't know if it was his daughter or whatever, and he's asking her like, "Oh, where do I put the key? I don't know where the keyhole is." And I'm like, "Holy fuck!" And she's like, "Don't mind him. He's 96 years old or 92 or something." I'm like, "He still has his license?" She's like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, no, he's doing me a favor." And I'm like, "Oh my god!" And I'm like, "But I remember when Dale's dad, they took his driver's license away from shop dad, and like, dude, it's like you might as well. It's like taking away the freedom that we got the day that we managed to get our driver's license. Does this 180 that imagine you're fucking cooped up at home most of the time because you're old.
Oh,
Takes you like
I know.
long to fucking do everything anyways, and then all of a sudden you can't go drive down to the coffee shop or like go run your errand. And dude, I still remember it was like they pulled his license, and one day we're all at the shop, and Dale's dad shows up, fucking cruises up in his truck, and Braden is like, "Grandpa, I thought they pulled your license." He's like, "Oh, I'm allowed to drive on Fridays." It's like, but seriously, like, dude, I think if they pull my license, like, whatever, man, I'll just keep driving until I get caught. Like, fucking lock me up. Because
Yeah.
like you're locking me up by taking my license anyways. Like I guess if I was like blind or something and I could legitimately kill someone, maybe I'd think differently. But yeah, man, it'd be tough the day that you couldn't drive anymore. And I was thinking about it because my knee was so bad the other day, which I've related it to the chemo. So apparently the chemo will cause inflammation in areas that have, some trauma.
Inflammation already. Yeah, yeah.
So, and ironically, I was putting two and two together. I'm like, okay, I had treatment, my knee got bad. I started to get better. I got treatment, my knee got bad. Started to get better, got treatment, my knee's fucking bad again. So that's my nutritionalist. And dude, the day because I canceled the pod. So just for anybody listening, me and Gary are doing this on a Saturday, not the Thursday, because I was like comatose. Dude, my knee hurt so bad I drove with my fucking left leg.
Oh, wow. Put the
Um,
right on the dash and
Oh, like it was
stretch
just, and
her
it's
out.
like that dull ache, and like when you're sleeping, every time you move, I was like, oh.
Oh,
So yeah, saw my nutritionalist, and because Brittany's like, you need to see the doctor. You probably need X-rays. I'm like, I guarantee you, the chemo's doing this. And the nutritionalist's like 100%. He's like,
yeah.
every time you're getting the treatment, he's like, it's just adding to the inflammation, and he's like, it's messing you up. Go get this Voltron,
Oh, I got
sh-
some of that
cream.
shit. Yep.
Yeah, so he's like, it used to be prescription only. You can buy it over the counter now. He's like, within like 3 doses of it, he's like, I guarantee you, you'll feel better. And sure enough, I started yesterday. I put it on this morning, and I'm like, holy fuck, I can walk again. Because dude,
There,
I was
okay,
hobbling like a motherfucker.
this is good to know because when that stuff first came out, it was like miracle pain shit. And then all of a sudden, in true Canadian format, right? They're like, whoa, 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 we got to look through the ingredients of this bullshit, right? And all of a sudden, new formulation came out. Now you may as well be rubbing fucking baby oil on yourself, right? Does nothing.
Right.
So it's good to know that, yeah, the Americans still maintain it because
Yeah.
whatever's in that fucking snake oil, it works.
And don't get me wrong, like this is the first time that I've ever seen this. It's like a dosage card, so it's like this almost like laminated piece of cardboard, and it says if you're and it says only on joints. So it's like wrists, elbow, shoulder, ankles, knees only. Like do not
Right.
use in any other areas. And if you're doing upper body, you use like it almost looks like you're gonna put like cocaine lines out on the
Oh,
this little thing, right? So it's like only squeeze out this amount if you're treating your upper body, squeeze out this amount if you're treating joints on your lower body. And I'm like, okay, this is some pretty serious shit.
yeah.
Um,
And don't get any on your nuts.
yeah. And then I'm like, do I need to wear a glove to apply this? You know, because like obviously I'm going to touch it by rubbing it in with my hand, right? And it's like, no, just wash your hands after. Don't. There's like rules around like don't put any clothing over it for at least like
Wow.
15 minutes. Don't shower for an hour after application or something. All this stuff, but like it works.
It's like mixing JB Weld.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay, we got to go back to the driver's license story, but I got a funny painkiller story for you. So I'm at this hockey tournament with a bunch of buddies, like beer league style hockey, right? Where it's more about the drinking beer than it is the hockey. Anyway, and it was a whole pile of games. And I it I don't have a problem with my growing, but if I'm in a scenario where I'm like whatever, put myself through a bunch of shit for a weekend like that, it will flare up on me, right? So we're in like day 3 of this tournament. We've been shit faced the whole time, right? And I'm like, fuck, I don't know if I can get out there, boys. I got to do something with this growing of mine, right? So the one guy goes, hey, I got some of this Lakota stuff. I'm like, oh, I've never heard of it. I'm like, but I'll try anything, right? Plus, I'm into the beers in the dressing room. I didn't give a shit. So he throws this can of stuff over to me, and there's just a picture of a Native American fella on it in a headdress. And I'm like, well, they knew what was going on, right? Fuck it, it must be good.
They're the
So,
pioneers.
right. So I start lathering this shit on me, right? And instantly you go like, oh, I got some heat going on, right? Anyway, then it slips my mind. I get back to having some beers and I go to get dressed, put on the Duke, right? And put on all my gear. Anyway, we go out for a little skate before we're going to play a little warm up. I'm like, holy Christ, my balls are on fire. What the fuck is going on right now, right? So it gets so bad, buddy, that I go to the bench, I pull my shit open and grab a water bottle and just fucking douse my balls with a water bottle. Well, unbeknownst to me, the shit gets activated by water or sweating. Like it gets worse. Honest to God, it felt like I had a tiger torch pointed at my nuts, blasting me the whole game. Right into that night. I'm like, how did this occur? Well, like you said, don't put clothing on or whatever. When I started getting dressed, I must have like whatever the shit rubbed by where I'd put
Right.
it on my groin. Now I got it just resting on my balls. Dude, absolute worst pain ever. Like if there would have been a cement floor, I would have been sitting on it buck naked with my nuts on the floor. Like it was terrible. Fuck.
Oh.
But yeah, don't mess around with that shit. Um,
Oh,
okay, back to the whole privilege, not a right. This is one of those things, man. I know I've brought it up on the pod before about how I am not one for rules and regs, but I've got this like, I don't know, it's like a cross in the road for me because on one hand, when it comes to like, I don't know, say somebody that you see in traffic and you go like, how do you even have your goddamn driver's license? Like, and I sit there and think to myself, there should be like almost a redo or a retest or something to get these dipshits off the road. But that's tough for me to get my head around because then I remind myself, hey, remember, buddy, you're not a rule guy, right?
Yeah.
So I'm at this weird place with it. When it comes to getting old, I think I'm with you. Like, I think you just go hand your license in, smile at them, and then walk out of the office and jump behind the seat of your truck and fucking drive home, right?
Well, it's
But
technically how I'm doing it with my motorcycle right now.
mm,
So, whatever.
yeah, yeah, true enough. Hey,
Yeah.
or I don't know, maybe another route around this would be like set yourself up in life where you got enough acres where you can just go out for a little cruise in the evenings, right? Rattle around the property in the truck or whatever. But it's true, man. Like you think about, okay, let's use a car example. Oh shit, right? I just snapped a spark plug. Got to run down to the parts store real quick. No, you're not, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a right, not a privilege or whatever, which that saying doesn't sit well with me. You know what I mean? I mean, when you really boil that down, it's like, hey, fucko that wrote the book and all the rest of it. Like, I got free will, right? Depending on if you're religious or not, like, whatever, it gets to that level of things, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, you do you, I'll do me. Fuck off. But
Yeah.
in the in between, right? Without rules, I mean, people just fall into chaos too. So I don't know. That's a really like heavy statement to break down.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's sort of it's like you said, man. Like getting is one thing, and like some people just get. I don't know. They're more. Well, they some people get dumber in time. I
Yeah.
feel or more clueless, and some people, um, like they just get more scared. Like their defensive driving gets on like this next level where
Mm,
it's dangerous. You know, it's like these people that are driving like under the speed limit or you
yeah.
know what I mean? They're constantly on their brake pedal or whatever. Like it's always stupid shit. Like just remember the rules, like especially like merging on any expressway or something. Like get up to
Yeah.
speed.
Get after it. Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know whenever I see somebody in a merge lane on the binders, you're like, guy, what are you doing? Like, get
yeah,
after it. If I see you getting after it, then I'll back off and let you go. But
yeah.
like
Honestly,
otherwise,
and it's like I don't know. Maybe it's just like the I don't know what you would call it in me, but like if somebody gets on the binders, like I'm gonna fuck them extra hard because they're dumb. Like it actually
right.
aggravates me. Like if you're gonna be that stupid, I'm gonna fucking slow down and you're gonna fucking eat the shoulder until I decide to let you in because you don't know how to fucking drive. You
Yeah.
know, or like those people that turn out in front of me, I swerve towards them. Like you better get on the gas. Like
Right.
it's oh drives me
But
nuts.
and I don't know what it is, pal. Like I'd like to say that it's just a logical thing. Like
Yeah.
sure, people when we were younger passed some of this intel on to us, but like it's one of those things. Like I don't know. Say you went back to university, totally new field, totally new class, and the teacher says something, and you're like, "Huh, yeah, I've never heard that before, but that makes total sense." Like it's not as if we don't know this information. Maybe we've just never heard it. So
Yeah.
I often wonder, like, were you just set loose when you were 16? Or, somebody sent you to some dope smoking, learn how to drive course, and your dad or your mom or whoever didn't say to you, like, hey, listen, here's some of the things that I've picked up over the years that you should probably know about the road. Like, I don't know. I guess what it boils down to for me is if you're gonna bitch about stuff, you should have some sort of solution to put forward. And when it comes to this stuff, outside of what I just said, like maybe people taking life a little more seriously as parents and like passing down some of this info, I don't really know what the answer is, because anything that, like any answer to that would be more like dictatorship style, like rules and regs, you know?
I just feel like it's sort of like a motorcycle is a pretty good analogy. Or a comparison, because I sort of feel like you either have it or you don't.
Mm,
Like the ability to like balance, because like if you have poor balance, you're gonna fucking dump that bike. I
yeah.
mean, and some people they just don't have it. They don't like, and whatever. It's like playing an instrument. Sometimes things come natural.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can practice enough to get pretty good. Um, but you're not going to be, say, exceptionally well at it. I
Hmm.
think that there's a lot of dumbasses that probably shouldn't be driving because they don't have the ability to scan the road, or like they can know the laws, because like following a speed limit or a sign is almost like if you're not following the flow of traffic. I
Right.
mean, like speed kind of dictates itself. It really does. Like if you got to turn left and there's a car coming straight towards you, you probably shouldn't turn out in front of it. Like there's a lot of things that technically you need to know, but you don't need to know them if you have a little bit of common sense. And I think
Yeah.
that that's the issue. There's these people that don't have common sense and don't have an ability, like we were talking about. Look in the rearview mirror if you get on your binders, or like look at for third brake lights flashing in the car in front of the car you're following through the
Yeah.
fucking rear window and through their windshield, if you know you need to get on your brakes or not, or if it's just the idiot in front of you that rides his brake pedal that's
Yeah.
causing this chain reaction of, hey, let's everybody step on our brakes. um and that's the thing, not everybody can, I guess, drive to that same style, or the have the same ability. But I feel like there's a lot of people that should either be like retested or like
Yeah.
reissued, or there should be some sort of way. And I think a good start would be these people that are coming from other countries that were saying, oh, that driver's license from over there is okay over here, just
Yeah.
because they know how to read a speed limit, or red, green, yellow stoplights, when meanwhile a lot of these countries don't even have fucking stoplights or managed intersections.
No.
And why they
Drive by
put
signal.
roundabouts places, and nobody teaches you how to drive through a roundabout because most towns never had them, so it's not part of your test.
Yep.
Like, I don't know.
It's
It's
true,
dumb.
man. Well, and going back to the old folks, there's times, don't get me wrong, that I get a little aggravated with them too. But then when I'm not aggravated or maybe in a little calmer mind, I think to myself, how much has changed for these old folks from the time that they started driving, right? Where, well, let's be honest, everything just moved at a slower pace. You know what I mean? Hell, even cars couldn't go as fast as they can now. Speed limits were different. I mean, stop signs. Actually, my mom still tells this story. She goes, and it was in her driver's test as well. Like before synchro mesh transmissions, you had to come to a full stop in order to get that vehicle into first gear, or it just
Right.
wouldn't go. So she goes, the the answer on the test, don't quote me on this, but it was something to the effect of like, come to a full stop or put your vehicle into first gear. That's what a
Hmm.
stop sign meant, you
Yeah.
know, where you could dump any modern transmission into first gear wherever the fuck you want now. So I feel for those folks because yeah, you see them, they're hunkered over the wheel and pulling into that grocery store, right? And you think to yourself, like, guy or gal, go, like, just fucking get on with it, because like everyone else needs to go here. But hey,
Uh,
they're they got their driver's license in 1951, you know,
I don't know,
and
man. My
that's
dad's 77 and he gets after it. Like, even
yeah, some
like,
people do.
like
Like,
he
you
drives
know what?
more aggressively than me, especially like in winter conditions. Like he's the guy in snow-covered roads fucking getting out and passing people. But
Pinned.
years and years of experience on like snowy, bad roads. Like He did
Yeah.
the trip to Texas. What? It was like 3 return trips within a month last year.
Jesus.
Like Dale couldn't even keep up with him. He's like, "Your dad's a fucking animal. He just keeps driving and driving and driving."
You know, I think a lot of it has to do with um, self-awareness. Excuse me. So when you think of, I don't know, let's say you're coming out of an area, hit a stop sign, T intersection, taking a left, and you're going to roll down a hill, and you know at the end of that hill is also another stop sign. Well, I see it all the time because I just pretty much explained coming out of my neighborhood. People stop at that stop sign, put their left-hand signal light on, they do the turn, they get themselves like they kind of get up and at her right away, like speed up, and then immediately on the brakes. And they just ride those bitches at light, pressure right to the bottom. And then it's like full pressure at the bottom. And I'm like, I bet you're doing brakes in that vehicle 4 times a year easily. Just, and I don't
So
even think
is that
they,
what your wife does?
yes, fuck me. It drives me nuts. I'm like, hun, we're going to take you to a racetrack and show you that like you will literally lose every race if that's how you drive. Like this is not the way you do this, right? You get on them, you get off them. End of story. None of this riding shit, you know? And like I say, I think to those, I'm not trying to claim everyone's an idiot. I just think they're not aware that like there's another way of doing that, right? They just think, "Oh, I'm on a decline and I see a stop sign at the end of it. I better start getting on the brakes," right? The other side of this is, or not other side, but another angle at it, and it would be unfair of me to paint all of these fuckers with the same brush, but pedal bikers. Okay, like, and I'm talking real deal pedal bikers, right?
Yeah.
Like they're going places on their bike. They're not just out with their kids and what or getting home from their buddies because they're shit faced and they don't want to drive, right? I'm talking real deal pedal bikers. These fucking jabronis ride with like one handlebar hanging over the white line. And you
Yeah.
think to yourself, like, you must have a death wish or you're holier than thou. I don't know what it is, but why I combine these two scenarios is like self awareness. I think to myself, like, if I got to go anywhere, I haven't ridden a pedal bike in a long time, right? Maybe once in a while with the kids, but I'm like, girls, you make goddamn sure if you're going to be anywhere near this road, I don't care if you're even driving down the side of it, you are in the ditch almost. Like you get out of the way because you're going to lose the battle against a 9,500-pound truck
Yeah.
every time, right? There's no other outcome of this. You're done. And you want to cross the street, even if you're on your shoes, you run like hell. Like when you go across that road, pretend the fucking street's lava, you know? Same thing with pedestrians, right? Do, 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 do. It's like, what are you doing? Like, I'm, I get it. You've got the right of way, but if someone doesn't see you, which I know they should and whatever, but you're now dead.
Yeah.
Like, you can't even lift your head up to say, hey, I had the right of way here. You're fucking dead. And it's this just self awareness, I think, man. Like, that's what it comes down to. Like, looking in the rear view if you're going to put on the brakes,
Yeah.
just be aware. But I don't know how you wake that up in someone. Like, I don't think it's an instant download. You need to have people in your life that help direct you towards that.
Yeah. I think it's almost like if you're doing driver's training, the trainer needs to like pick up on like that person's characteristics,
Nuances.
their capabilities, and then
Yep.
train them according to what their strengths and their weaknesses are, instead of just being like, okay, one size fits all. These are the rules of the road. Just make sure you do this stuff. It should be
Mhm.
like, hey, you have a tendency to do this. You should be considering doing that, or like, you know what I mean? Like, there's some basic things. It's like, oh, you shouldn't brake into a corner. You should accelerate out of a corner. There's some of those things and those concepts, but I think it needs to go a little further than that and like really pick up on what the people are doing. But again, it's like, how do you even implement that? And what does it
Well,
matter now to all these people that don't even want to get their fucking driver's licenses anyways, which I think is probably even more dangerous because they really don't give a fuck. They're just like, I better get this in case I need to drive.
yeah.
And like,
You know, man, a solution that I could put forward to that would be so from the like defensive driving or the whole like cornering, braking thing, like, okay, let's do the whole, you got to do your written driver's test. You got to do your around town. And you also have to go to a track and be trained by like a professional driver how to drive this track. Because that will give you those ideas of how to break into a corner, how to come out of it, all that stuff, right? I
see,
mean,
and funny
that,
enough, when I did my motorcycle training in Dubai, they had, and they probably do it everywhere, like emergency stopping and swerving and shit with the cones. They do that for
mm,
motorcycles, but yeah, they never do that for cars. They just say, "Oh, if you lock up your brakes and you hit ice, you steer into the way that you're fucking skidding." Or you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
so you're just kind of answering the theoretical part without any actual practical experience or knowledge to do it.
100%.
Which nowadays with anti-lock brakes and everything else and traction controls, unless people turn them off on their S550s and crash them, it's pretty hard. It's
Yeah.
pretty hard to lose control these days. But
Well, you know, another one along those same lines of, so you could have your written, your practical driver, your race track day, whatever. And another one that I've always said would be very beneficial to people would be some sort of basic mechanical training. Obviously, there's the bare bones that comes out of that. Here's how you change a tire, here's whatever. But I think there should be some sort of an appreciation of what is going on under the hood of that car, right? Like, why? I bet you if you walk down the street, this would probably be a funny video. If you walk down the street and you ask 10 people what the red section of the tachometer means, they probably couldn't answer that question. They definitely couldn't tell you, like, or have some sort of mental visualization of what a piston looks like at 7,000 RPM. Like, it looks fucking solid. Like, it doesn't even look like it's moving. And the reason you don't want to spend a lot of time way over there, right, is boom, 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 and just let them get that, right? Or like, I don't know, this would maybe be something to maybe change the environmentalist idea of, warming up vehicles or whatever, right? Like, here's why, right? Because here's what oil looks like at minus 30, right? So on and so forth. Like all these little things that people just don't think, well, they don't have the ability or the contextual, where they just don't have the experience. No one's
yeah.
ever said to them, hey, did you know, right?
And you know what? Because driving is a privilege, you need to learn these things in
Yeah,
order to gain your privilege.
yeah, it's true,
Oh,
man. I mean, there's just so much to it, right? And unless you've got whatever, I'm not trying to say I'm some sort of hero, but like I talk to my kids about this type of shit, and I'm sure a lot of it goes in one ear and out the other. But the fact that I know that they have sort of subconsciously heard these things makes me think that it will come up. Like it will come full circle for them at some point in their lives and be like, yeah, you know what? Maybe I should, like, I don't know, maybe their vehicle, something happens and it won't shift out of first, but they go, fuck it, I'm still got to get where I'm going. And they drive down the road for the next 60 miles at 7 grand, right? Like, maybe I should hit the shoulder and just bring her up to about 3,500, you know? Like,
yeah.
all you can do is hope. But I take that, uh, I don't know what you want to call it, blessing, I guess, that I've got the ability to pass some of this intel down to them, right? I take it very seriously. I'm like, you got to know this. Like, I know right now it doesn't seem important, but it really truly is in the grand scheme of life.
Yeah.
And chances are you're going to meet some fucking doughhead that didn't have a dad or a mom that taught them this shit. So you're going to have to be the person that passes it on to them and your kids, you know, sadly. But uh,
Oh, oh, the road.
yeah, man. I I know there's lots of these things that we could kick around till we're blue in the face about the world, unless we miraculously have Joe Rogan level listenership overnight. I don't think the two of us are gonna make much of a dent. And I know everybody that listens is probably just going, fuck yeah, say it louder, right? Like everybody that listens to us and knows us, they think like we do too. But yeah, I mean the world of the road is a wild place. You know, you kind of take your life in your hands out there. It actually makes you realize some of the things your parents said to you back in the day. Like, hey, it's not you I'm worried about. It's all the other orangutans
Yeah.
that are doing this, that, and the other thing. And it's true, you know?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, a lot of shit out there, man. But anyway, I don't know if I got anything else to fill you in on, buddy. I think that's probably I haven't done fuck all in my shop in 3 weeks, I bet. To be
Oh,
honest, I don't even have a YouTube video this week. I got nothing.
damn. Well, I saw you have your regretful video on the vert up. Have you got any
Yeah.
interest or feedback on?
Yeah. Yeah. So actually some really kind feedback. A lot of people saying that I'm undervaluing the car. So that's always nice to hear. Actually had a fella out in Toronto that was looking into shipping options. And there's been a couple guys on the coast that said due to the long weekend this weekend, they were passing through. They were hoping to come by and have a look at it. So yeah, it's had interest for sure. You know what's actually really funny? So the poor old yellow car, the 79, which didn't even get its own shit. I feel bad selling you old girl video, right? When you go through, I just found this out the other day because I've got so much shit posted online for sale right now, but you can actually in the back end of your marketplace kind of see the stats as to how many people have clicked on it and stuff. The fucking 79's working the 91 over.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
Oh, I'm surprised Bill Butler isn't calling you up being like, "Hey, can I get a buddy deal on that?"
Right. I actually thought the 79 was going to be gone right out of the gate. First night it went up, a guy hit me up and he says, "Yeah, I want to buy it for my daughter." I'm like, "Oh, that's kind of cool, you know?" And we went to we were actually traveling around that night with kids sports and I got the wife to drop me off at the shop and bring it home because he was going to come by that night and have a look at it. So anyway, I fucking shuffled things around and brought it home. That was actually the night I got those stupid videos doing the
Right.
little burnout and stuff with it. So and I messaged him, I said, "Hey man, we're home now. Got the car home." He goes, "Oh, my daughter doesn't like the color of it." I'm like, "Oh, great. Sure glad I went to all this trouble, right?" Fuck. Anyway, I'm like, if you're buying the car, does she really have a choice? And not only that, this goes back to our chat last week, right? About you didn't give a fuck what you did give a shit, but it was more about driving than it was about what you drove, right?
So
Oh,
all I can think of is when Tony bought Sam her first car and Who's the Boss, and it was this big yellow brick, and he put like red fucking reflectors or markers like all over it to like protect her. That's all I can think of with your yellow car.
that was such a good show, hey? I
Yeah,
still remember the intro to the show, right? Always the same. And he's
with the
like
rape
one hand
van,
lifting the couch and fucking vacuuming under it. And
yeah, cruising the rape van.
yeah, yeah. Okay. If anyone was interested in this intel, when I was scratching my head wondering what the hell kind of car that was that I almost bought, I was like, I think it was a Supra or something.
All right.
So Dwayne from Chicago hits me up. He goes, or actually, I think he had it wrong. Yeah, he thought it was something else. I can't even remember what the hell he thought it was. But another guy reached out to me. Oh shit, was it Krusty Notch Fox? Fuck, I'm forgetting right now. Sorry, whoever did. My apologies, but it was called a Supra MK2.
Oh,
And-
okay. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
yeah, kind of looked like a DeLorean almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess,
No,
sort of, kind of.
didn't it have like a weird rear wing setup on it?
They could have. Yeah, like I
I
think
think I
the
think there
higher
was
end unit.
a version of it that was almost like the SVO wing with the like how Detch had that one prototype wing
Yeah,
that came with like the rear, like the center stabilizer support or something. I think that's that car.
yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Uh, Another big mod on those was louvers.
Oh yeah.
Rear window louvers. Yeah. Yeah. So, and it was like, I guess the predecessor to what everybody thinks of when they think the Supra and like Fast and Furious and stuff.
Yeah. Well,
Hard to
that's cool.
believe when you see photos of the two or whatever, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Huh.
that was the rig. Almost bought that bitch. I think it needed a clutch and it had lots of miles on it too. Like I couldn't
Oh,
even tell you what the motor option would have been in it. I knew nothing, none of those details about the car.
so was this before you got the Fox?
Yep.
So
And
do you think
it was
do you
before I got
think
the Ranger too.
so if you had got that, do you feel like you might have gone down a different path?
Oh, that's an interesting thought experiment, hey? Probably not. I don't think.
Right.
Yeah, because well, that Supra was on the used lot of the Ford dealership,
Mm.
which we knew the folks that owned it, and it was them that actually had my green coupe parked up at their house. And again, said this a million times, but very, very small town. Like these folks' house was kind of elevated on a bit of a hill. It looked down on the Ford dealership. And I mean, you could hit a golf ball with a pitching wedge to the fucking dealership. You know, like we're not talking miles and miles here. They live right behind the dealer. Um, yeah, but so the Super didn't work out. I ended up buying this 88 Ford Ranger extended cab 2-wheel drive truck. I got pictures of this thing, or my mom does somewhere. It's actually a funny little truck. It had dually flares on it on the rear and like a set of 15-inch wide fucking Goodyear tires on the back of it. Yeah, it was definitely an aftermarket thing, right? Like this wasn't a off the shelf Ford deal, but and two-tone navy and gray. It was a homely pickup, you know.
Right.
I
Huh.
think 2 weeks into owning it, I needed a clutch in it. Um, I mean, not that I would have helped it much, but it was already on its way out, right? So did the clutch on it, and then I drove it for would have been about a year, and then that's when the Fox just found its way into my life.
Nice.
Went, yeah, went to see if I could borrow their 67 for prom because I don't know if all high schools are like this, but ours was you could go to prom in grade 11. You didn't have to be in grade 12. And
Hmm.
so I went up to ask them if I could take their 67 vert to prom. And that's when I noticed the coupe. Well, I didn't even notice it. I just said, "What's that with the car cover parked under the tree over there?" And it was the green car.
Unreal. So
Yeah.
did you have to ask a grade 12 to prom with you? And then you could go, or you could just go like 2 grade 11s?
Yeah.
Or you could
Two
go
grade
without
11s
a
could
date,
go.
right?
Yeah. Two grade 11s could go. Cause yeah, I was dating a gal at the time. She was in the same grade as me. We went, we actually, so get the deal together with this car and put it on the road, whatever. And this was probably, I don't know, 2 months or maybe 6 weeks before prom. And then we were quite close to Banff, Alberta in Invermere there. So my buddy borrowed his buddy's car, which was a 94 SN 5-liter, and straight piped. And he borrowed that, and I had my green car, and we took my date and his date. We went over to Banff, went for dinner, and then raced all the way home. Went to prom that night, and yeah, had a hell of a time. That goddamn
Crazy.
Banff highway, man, it's seen a lot of miles from that green car. Yeah. Yeah. So that anyway, I don't think I would have taken a different path, but you never know, right?
Yeah.
But
No,
like, when was the last time you seen one of those cars around? Like, they definitely all went to scrap.
yeah. Like I feel because that was the thing, right? Like any Toyota like ish product from because that's what it was, right? Technically,
Yep.
Toyota.
Yep.
Yeah. Like they rusted like and
Mhm.
bad. Like I remember the pickup trucks and everything. Like they were cool. Like the Michael J. Fox fucking pickup from Back of the Future was the coolest fucking thing. But like in
Yep.
Canada, good luck. It's like the thing was already rotted off the lot. So like
Yeah, run
whatever they
forever,
used, yeah,
but
it
no
run
body.
forever. But yeah, no floors, Fred Flintstone, like just yeah,
Yeah.
no flares on the fenders or the quarters. Like whatever they
Yeah.
were using when they were making Toyotas in those early days, definitely did not like the elements of Canada.
Which is kind of funny when you think about it, right? Now, I've never been to China, and I know it's a big landmass, but they definitely have, like, coastal areas that are going to be in the elements, right? And they've even got shit up north that gets snow. So,
But like
like,
their motto is like throw away and replace though, right? So to them it's like just
true.
build something because think about even all the emission motors, which are I think is still a thing. Like Japan and fucking China, all that stuff, like all those 50,000, they pull motors out with 50,000 kilometers
Right.
and, ship them off because they're like, oh, that motor's no good. It's got too many kilometers on it. You know what I mean? It's done.
Yeah.
'Cause, like that's what like all my friends who had the whatever fucking B16, B16A, VTEC, blah blah blah. All that came out of an Acura. It's going in my fucking Civic, and it's gonna be overnight parts from Japan fast.
Right.
It was all those weird emission motors. So I don't know how that works out today, but there's that chick on Instagram, like Tina, and she does these dances and shit of all these. I think friggin' Joe's posted some shit about her, like, because her English is horrible. And she's like,
Yeah.
all these parts that we have from China that we will ship to you. And like there's
Right.
motor ones and like front clips and
Oh,
like
yeah.
all this stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So
Actually, speaking of this, there's a video going around, and I know it's getting hard to tell the difference between real and AI, but I believe the text on the reel said something about the Middle East, and it's just as far as the eye can see, square body Chevys.
oh yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, I have. So that would be, I think that's in Saudi that they posted that, and 100%, man. Like,
Oh, it's real, you figure?
yeah. Um,
Wow.
there's actually an area too of there was shipping containers that like fell off a boat full of BMWs, and it
Mhm.
was like thousands of fucking C-wrecked BMWs in a lot, like all brand new, like destroyed, like nothing could be done with them because they're all saltwater damage, right?
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, like if you see, like, I think there's stuff online of like the shake, one of the shakes, car collections and stuff. Like you'd be amazed how many like new seeming um vehicles, like old vintage shit. Oh, we talked about like the box Chevys, right? Like in Kuwait,
Yeah.
because the wheelbase could go across. And I've seen posts online, like same thing. We'll show all these box Chevys over there, and it's like the donk guys are like, shit, we got to go to the Middle East to
Yeah.
get a car.
Yeah, totally. Huh. I know it's just wild seeing that many in one area, right? When you're kind of hard pressed to see an old square body rolling around, or they're rare enough that you go, oh shit, look at that, right?
Yeah. Like,
And then you
even
see
if
what's
that is
around.
generated, I guarantee you there's enough there to make that real. Like,
Wow.
is probably the best way to put it.
So do you think that they've all been imported, or would they have gotten trucks like that?
That's a good question. Like, they would have
Maybe a
needed
man would
trucks,
know.
right? Like, at the end of the day, right? Like, they have brand new Fords and Tahoes and fucking all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they kind of lean more towards the Infinities, um, Land Cruisers, that type of stuff. Like, they loved FJ Cruisers when those motherfuckers came out. I actually imported one from the US over there because it was just like everybody wanted them.
Yeah.
But yeah, to rewind back in the day, I wouldn't be surprised. They probably sent a bunch of square bodies and Crown Vics and whatever over, right? Like, they wouldn't
Yeah.
need, like, what were the other options?
Yeah. True enough. Yeah, it's kind of what was being manufactured.
Yeah.
Um, another neat little story that, well, I had heard on pretty good authority, but going back to your whole like emissions motors and pull them and throw them away and whatever. So the oil sands of Alberta, which have kind of been a bit of a hot topic of discussion lately, right? With all the tariff bullshit and import, export stuff, whatever. So that is a part of the world and a business that the finances surrounding it will literally boggle your mind. Like, not only, how much money that a little place like that can make, but like how much money goes into making the money.
Mhm.
So right down to the trucks that they run around, and I'm talking like pickup passenger type trucks that they run around just to, check this, do that, whatever. So um they're first and foremost like brand new trucks. And then they have a service interval in them where I want to say it's something like 30,000 kilometers. It might even be less than that, like 20,000 kilometers. So 12,000 miles, new motor, regardless of anything. Just get that fucking motor out of that truck and put a new one in it.
Huh.
When they first show up, they immediately all get sick. I believe it's a 6-inch lift kit, tires, and,
So it's like the
they're,
shit you see Billy Bob driving in Landman,
yeah.
right? Because they
But
got those fleet Fords, they're lifted and fucking oversized tires and all that shit.
100%. I guess the only difference would be, I would say the oil sands probably justifies a lot of this shit a lot more, because it all boils back down to like how they transport the oil. And now for anyone that's maybe deep south and scratching their head as to what I'm talking about, the way the seam, like the geology of the oil that runs through Canada, essentially the further south you go, the deeper it is. And then that seam runs up towards the surface. And once you get up north, it's all essentially like they mine it. Like they literally just dig it out of the ground, and it's all the sand and rock and shit is saturated with it. And then they run it through a plant where they wash it all off and,
Yeah, extract it.
deal with it, extract it. So, anyway, so you got these great big, excavators and hose and cats and whatever pushing shit around. And then they put them in these massive trucks that, if you've never seen one, I highly recommend you go online and look one up. I mean, to see a human being standing beside it, you got to squint to see the human. They're fucking enormous. So anyway, those trucks are essentially like the number one thing that needs to run all day, every day, nonstop, right? So, and those trucks' service intervals are wild too. They change those tires out that are on those trucks, and I think those tires are like, don't quote me, but 200 grand a piece, let's say, right? They
Hmm.
just change them based off of hours, and they don't even give a shit if the tread's worn out or whatever. They're not. And what they do is they pull them off, new tire goes on, and then they build like wind berms with the old tires. So you've
Hmm.
got these like multi-million-dollar wind berms from tires. Anyway, back to the pickups. Why I say maybe Billy Bob's truck was a little more show and not all go, whereas these guys are on the other end of that spectrum, is the reason for the lift kit and the crazy service intervals is if one of those pickups has to cross the road that those big heavy haulers are going down, well, one, they got to hold it to the fucking floor and bounce through the ruts the trucks are making. And two, if that thing stalls in the middle of the road and holds up production, they're literally losing like hundreds of thousands of dollars every second that those trucks can't run.
Yeah.
So this is where the lift kits come in, the tires, the motor. Like if that thing, whatever, has bounced through a few ruts and shaking a couple coil packs loose and it decides that it's letting go in the middle of the road, shit hits the fan. People are getting fired.
Damn.
So, yeah. And, but the part of it that blew my mind was now at the time, this may have changed, you know, because they will marry themselves to a brand or whatever for a while. And then somebody will come through with a better deal, you know. But at the time that I was talking to this guy, they dealt with Chevy or GM. So independent front ends, which aren't necessarily known for being the strongest unit in a heavy duty pickup. Actually, I think they ran half-ton trucks, believe it or not. There was some metric they used to justify the half-ton trucks. And yeah, every like 30,000 kilometers, they pull the motors out of them and put a new motor in. You're
So
like,
where do
where
those
the fuck
motors
are all
go?
these? Exactly. That's what I said. Where are all these LSs sitting? Are you guys turning them into wind berms too? Like,
Yeah. Well, hey man, that's interesting because like even the source of my Godzilla takeouts was for government contract for EV conversion, and they were scrapping the motors
yeah,
initially. Like
isn't that
brand
wild?
fucking new, like delivered on a bare frame, you know what I mean? E450 chassis frame, and just literally pull the motor and fucking send it for scrap before they got smart and realized, oh shit, we can actually. And the crazy thing is I think that was the government's mandate. I think that there was something like you have to destruct it. You're not allowed to resale because at that point, like governments have really weird clauses. Like I
Mhm.
remember when I worked for the state here in Texas, the only reason why they couldn't sponsor me for a visa for like a so I was on a temporary visa, which I could sponsor myself when I had the job. But the reason why they couldn't do one that was like for green card status was that if I got denied, I would have incurred a debt to the state. And
Oh,
that was the only reason.
interesting.
So similarly, I'm sure there's some weird bullshit like, okay, whatever the contract is with the trucks. And if the motors come out, it's like, yeah, no, because we discounted you this much on all of these motors that we're going to give you, you therefore can't do shit with those ones. They must be destroyed or what. And I'm sure there's people like, I'm not saying that's what happens, but I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised if that's sort of the language around it that, I mean, we're not going to discount you heavily so you can replace these parts. Then you're just going to go and sell and then capitalize on the end of it, on the other end. So who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah. I know there's always goofy stuff and way more to these scenarios than meets the eye, right? But I guess it's kind of funny, right? Usually when we start getting to the end of these pods, you start noticing like a theme. And the one I'm picking up on here, like we talked about, just if, well, in the driving scenario, right? If you don't know or someone doesn't bring it to your attention, like how would you ever know kind of thing? Well, similar to this, like if you didn't know that there was a value to those Godzillas or those LSs or those whatever, throw them in the dump, you know?
Well, that's just it. And the person that's probably in charge of it doesn't care. And they're in
Mm-hmm.
a role where it's not like, oh, they're going to be rewarded if they find a way to maybe make a couple $100,000 extra. Like,
Yeah.
or like they're too dumb to put two and two together. Like, hey, maybe I should pitch this idea. Like, we're throwing away something that's an asset, but
Yep.
technically it's a write off from, you know what I mean? So it's like you got somebody that's dealing with accounting that's saying one thing, some other VP over here saying something else that would love to make the money, but accounting's going to be like, whoa, 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 no, 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 fuck that. Just throw them out. We write them off. It's a loss. It's gone. It's done. Versus
Yeah.
oh, if you start selling them, now holy fuck, we got to charge tax on them. Are they being exported? Are they staying in the same province? Who's buying
Yeah.
them? How much paper do we have to file now? That's adding work to us. Go fuck yourself. You're not selling them. You know?
Yeah. It's probably a pretty good summary of how it works, you know? Um, I know the part of it that I guess just breaks my heart though is it's like going back to my example of, why I think people should understand what's going on under the hood, right? Like the person that initially might be making this decision in the throwing away of Godzilla's um, probably doesn't understand what red line in a tachometer means. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They just hump their way back and forth to work in their smart car every day and never think twice about it. But if you had that little appreciation, you'd be like, well, wait a minute, like there's a whole lot of parts, moving parts in there, and like maybe somebody could see some value in this or whatever. Like, I don't know, it's just that awareness.
Well,
Like fucking be
well, the thing
aware.
is, too, there's awareness, and then there's like the bigger picture of the questions that we might want answers to, but sometimes once you know the answers, you wish you didn't know.
Yeah.
Because, like in this instance, they told me flat out because I'm like, what's the point of buying a brand new chassis with this motor if the first thing that you're doing is pulling the motor out? Why wouldn't Ford keep the motor and send you rollers? And then they came back and they're just like, you know what? We actually proposed that they sell us the Lightning platform, the EV motor, so we could actually just get the bear, send us that drivetrain that you use in the Lightnings, and we'll put it in this, and it'll like. So instead of keeping that all Ford and within all the same country, they buy Chinese fucking outfit electrical nonsense, import that shit into the country, do an EV conversion that's something that isn't manufactured, and you know what I mean. So it's like who's paying who and where's the money? Like follow the money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's one of those things. So it's yeah,
It's very convoluted,
it's like you sort of know the answer and you don't want to know the answer because if you really knew what it was, it'd probably piss you right off.
which is so wild because yeah, whenever logic cannot prevail, you know, there's some shit winds are blowing, you know.
Yeah,
Fuck. It I don't know. We need the world to go back to a more logical format in so many different ways, you know. It's like fuck. I don't know. Yeah, that's maybe a whole 3 hour or 10 hour in itself, you know what I mean? Fuck.
yeah.
It just it's crazy. I was actually trying to explain um oh, what was the vein I was running down the other day? It was with my oldest gal. Oh, I know. Actually, like business related expenses and how this all works. And I was using like very, very, very simple math, like income is $100 and then it costs you $50 to run the business. And this is subtracted from this, and you're now you're only paying taxes on like the after tax bullshit, whatever. And I could see her just going like, oh, you're losing me, right? Like, and again, it was just that simple, right?
Yeah,
And it left me thinking to myself, I'm like, if this concept is that convoluted, then why the fuck are we using it? You
yeah,
know? And I mean, it just like you say, it's questions you almost don't want to ask because these are things that'll like make you want to start punching holes in the drywall. You're like, yeah, like why the hell do we all follow this bullshit?
yeah. Well, it's funny. I don't know if you saw DeSantis was talking about in Florida about eliminating property taxes because he's like,
I've seen something on this. Yeah.
like if you're paying taxes on your home means you don't own your home. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and
I've
it,
often thought that too,
yeah,
for logical reasons.
well, absolutely. So yeah, I thought that like I don't know whatever the timeline or the strategy or anything else behind it is, but like it's nice to see that some people are thinking logically. But the thing is, it's like, okay, yeah, you're gonna eliminate taxes, but like, how are you gonna fill your pockets with that money that you're not taking from
Yeah.
people and over here. You know what I
It's
mean?
got
We
to come
see
from
it in
somewhere.
Canada all the time. It's like, oh, we're giving you a break here, but you're getting it up in the ass over here now. You just don't know it's coming yet, like,
Well,
so
totally. And that's the thing that I laugh at all the time, right? Like, some announcement comes out about, yeah, we're going to give everybody this, that, or the other thing. It's like, does no one realize that like they do not generate any income? The only income they generate is the shit you give them, and now they're giving it back to you.
yeah,
Like, you know, but everyone's like, "Yay, we're getting some rebate." Like, no, no, no. They could have just left that in your pocket to begin
yeah.
with, you know?
Oh,
But yeah, the property tax is an interesting one because, well, and everybody knows that owns a property that it gets real muddy because you get your assessment in the mail and surprise, surprise, your property went up and now you owe more fucking money. It's like, oh, this is smelling like a racket here, guys. You know?
yeah. And it's funny,
And
right? Like they have the argument, a school district this, and you need this, and you need that. But like, if they really wanted to do it properly, they should do, because whatever, it's county based or whatever, right? Do a household cost to county analysis.
Mhm.
Like, for instance, me and Britt do not have kids. We do not plan on having kids. We do not give a fuck about the school system, nor are we going to utilize it in any way, shape, or form. So go fuck yourself.
right.
Let the people with kids pay for their kids, right?
Yep.
You have X amount of vehicles. Okay. So you need to use the roadways this much. Like, there'd be ways, like, just because,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? We're paying for everybody else that's utilizing things and like the socialist approach, right? Um, which, you know what I mean? If they really wanted to break it down, they could do it. They just don't want to do it and they just rape everybody. And, that's that, which,
Less
um,
administrative shit. Yep.
and that's what I always found interesting about like when I lived in Dubai. Like, for instance, to your point, um, some things they took the path of lesser resistance, like tires. Well, you got an annual inspection. If the tires were more than 3 years date coded, didn't matter how much tread is on them. That's it. They do not pass. You need new fucking tires. Those tires get destroyed.
Hmm.
And to the point, whether you're putting the miles on or not, the heat will get to them. So it's more about dry rotting, cracking, whatever becomes a safety thing. So it's like, here's a threshold, boom, that's it.
Yep.
Applies to everybody across the board. But then it's like when you're negotiating your contract, same thing. Well, what's your cost to company? How many dependents? Like for me, I could negotiate a massive salary because wasn't married, no kids, no nothing, versus the other guy who's married and has 3 kids. Well, guess what? His salary plus three, because everybody does private schools, so they got to pay for the schooling of 3 kids. They got to provide 5 annual flights home to the home country because that's part
Right.
of the way the packaging works. So it's like you want to get the single person
Yeah.
like every day of the week. Like, and of course with that it comes into the whole, well, okay, you're profiling, or you're not giving equal opportunity, or
Yeah.
this, that, and the next thing. So it's kind of like this weird, you know, dynamic that you got to balance in between. But like, at least when there's those things in place, like, why shouldn't you be able to capitalize if you're the only one?
Yeah.
Like, if you're generally going to milk the system more or cost more to the company, like that should be assessed. Like, there should be some sort of way of managing that and not just saying, oh, you put a new fucking roof on your house just went up 100 grand because the house
Yeah.
3 doors down the street sold for whatever. You know what I mean? It's dumb.
It's the trouble with it though, man. Like I don't think there's like, I don't know, maybe there is a happy medium with it all. Like I say this quite often, I enjoy driving on paved roads, street lights in various areas and the power that it takes to run them, like all that stuff, right? I'm good with fire service, whatever, all these things that taxes technically go towards. But when it gets like outside of all that, right? And beyond all that, and you start going like, man, there's a lot of us paying a lot of money here. Where the fuck is it all going? right? Hence Doge and all the math fuckery that's going on there, right? Like, or that they're finding. Like, it's just, I don't know. Yeah, I think the system's been messed up for a long time.
Well, I think it's the inflation of it, right? Because like if it wasn't as bad, like for me, like I'm just over 10 grand a year in property tax, which is a lot. Like that's a rental payment to the average individual. And funny enough, going to visit Jordan down in San Antonio, he's got a nice little like 3-bed, 2-bath place with a yard and whatever. I'm like, how much are you renting this place for? He's like, oh, it's like 1,600 a month. I'm like, dude, like I almost pay your rent in fucking tax. And you
Yeah.
have a decent home in a well-established neighborhood and everything else. So it's like just because I'm where I'm at in the county that I'm in and whatever else, um, you know what I mean? And if you do, just like I told Britt, I'm like, if we lived here for 10 years, we lost over $100,000 worth of equity that we literally threw away.
Yeah.
Like you're almost forced to fucking move so you can capitalize on not having to pay all that nonsense. Like if it was 3 grand a year, 4 grand a year, you
Right.
know what I mean? Like no big deal, but like fucking 10. And
Yeah.
like we're technically a 2.5 bed, 2.5 bath. Like our square footage, like our home isn't massive.
Yep.
Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't get it. It's robbery.
Mm-hmm.
And Florida also doesn't have income tax. So Texas doesn't have income tax. So people argue that the property tax makes up for the lack of income tax. So in the grand
Right.
scheme of things, you could sort of be like, eh. But then you got Florida that's no income tax state. Now they're talking about no income tax, no property tax. That literally means that if you had a normal job and you knew what your take home was and you owned your house, like there's no fucking surprises.
Yeah.
It's almost like your cost of living is your cost of living. Like, no, oh, by the way,
Yep.
assessment, now you owe this or now you owe that.
Yeah.
Oh, you got a raise? Oh, different tax bracket.
Yeah.
Like, fuck.
I know, dude. It is a really, really messy system. And like I say, just for those of you that do have kids that are listening, try explaining any of the nuances of this, the various systems that we have to put up with as adults to your kids. I guarantee you they'll look at you like, what are you talking about? And that's a pretty good indication that if it doesn't make any sense to them, we have just molded ourselves and educated ourselves enough to operate within it that we think this is now normal. It's not normal.
Well, and it's like every time you sell that car and you go in and you
Yeah.
pay tax. So that was the other thing too. So in Dubai, tax was paid on the brand new cost. That was it, one time.
Yeah.
So anytime you bought a car used, you just went in, you paid for your number plate and for your insurance
Done.
and maybe like a small fee for them to process that shit in the computer, and that was it. There was no surprise. That the price was the price.
Yeah. Now it's just tax on tax on tax, right? Depending on where you are. But yeah,
So
I know.
do you have the in Vancouver, because obviously you're in Canada, you probably have the stupid tax brackets where, so I know in Ontario there was one, I think it lived between like the 50 and 75,000 mark of
Mhm.
like your take home, that if you got a raise from the one section into the next, you actually took home less. So you
Yeah.
would actually have to like turn down your fucking promotion and your raise because it literally was hurting you more than it was doing you good. Like
Yeah.
when there's shit like that, how does that make sense?
It doesn't, especially considering how we were raised. Like, work hard, get ahead, make more, retire younger, whatever. Like, I know it literally hinders you to do that, you know? Yeah, it's wild. And there's people that have broke this down. This is more of a Canada thing with the whole like welfare side of it, but like, they've got a person on welfare and a plumber or whatever, and they compare the two, how they live and how their tax brackets are and all this stuff, and the welfare person ends up on the better side at the end of the month. And you're like, how is that even a reality? But that gets into the whole, like, the path that Canada's on too, right? Which,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, man, I know it. Well, the other side of this too is, like, government never really gets smaller. I know that the US is looking at various ways to try to shrink things down, and that's great. I think anyone that's tuned in like we are goes like, good. Like, you should be smaller. Like, you should just be the administrators of a basic amount of money to pay for fire services and paved roads and whatever, right? And if we want to, much like a, I don't know, an HOA or something, or not an HOA, like a condo association, right? Like, hey, we're going to need a roof in 5 years, guys. Why don't we all start putting $100 away so we can all roof this same building that we all live under, right? Stuff like that. Just administrate the funds. And if we need to pump a new highway in, send us a letter. Okay. And we'll all as a group go like, yep, we'll all benefit from this. We get it. Here's a little bit more.
Yeah.
But now government is just swelling to this fucking size that is just unsustainable, which is why you get taxes on used vehicles and why you get these silly income tax brackets that you can never even get your fucking head around. And it's not like, okay, you just jumped into the next income tax bracket. It's like, oh, you got a little bit of a Christmas bonus that put you into that income tax bracket. And even though the whole year long you made less, so you were in the lower income tax bracket, now that puts you into it. The whole fucking thing is getting taxed at that new income tax bracket now.
So,
Like,
dude, I don't know if
motherfucker.
I don't know if you remember or would have heard of this, but there was so in Ontario, um, which interestingly enough, right? Like, so Canada, somebody put out a thing which I never really thought of, but I can believe it now and understand things more. They were saying that 50% of Canadians actually work for the government. I'm like, fuck, that seems high. But then I was like, wait a second, education's all public, health is all
Oh yeah.
public. Plus, there's all the other government functions that are all public, public, public. Like, there's no private like that the
Yeah.
US has, right? So that kind of probably explains a lot in itself because all these people that are in these public sector roles usually are protected by unions and job security blankets and this and that and the next thing and whatever. So of course nobody wants to give that up. Hence, most likely why people voted the way that they did.
Mm.
So with that said, in Ontario, due to whatever the term is, public whatever record showing it's if anybody makes over $100,000 a year, it had to be publicly available. So your name is published with your salary if you make more than 100K.
Hmm.
So there was 1 year where there was like the way the calendar was, there was one extra fucking pay cycle in the year. And it tripped like thousands of people over the 100,000 mark. So they all ended up, which my mom was one because she's university or college professor or whatever. So got tipped over this thing. So it was published. So they all got fucking nailed in a tax bracket and got their names published
Oh,
over the fact of the way the calendar year landed.
unreal.
This was like,
Wow.
I want to say it's had to have been like 20, 25 years ago, but it would have been like just like that right timeline with a leap year,
Yeah.
with the extra days or whatever that like all the stars aligned where like public sector payroll, which is usually on a Thursday, right? So probably like the calendar of the year started boom here. Plus we had the full days of April or whatever, no, February.
February.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. And then, yeah, just tipped all these people over the edge.
I'm trying to figure out how the hell they justified it to everyone that your name should be public knowledge based off your salary. Like, that just, I can't make any sense of that at all.
Well, and that's the weird thing, right? Like, I know specific in education because, like, I was in that industry forever. Um, that there was I don't know if it was a college or a university, whatever, a higher education institution, and the president went out and bought like a new Porsche
Mm,
or something, lost their job.
really? You're making too much. You're splashing your tits around town, whatever. Yeah.
Kind of goes
Holy.
back to that letter, right? That the guy got about his fucking Mustang not aligning to how much money he makes, and like, is he
Right.
blowing his money on hookers and drugs?
Yeah. 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 And you're supposed to be giving people sound financial advice and you're
Yeah.
driving this piece of shit. Right. Wow. That's crazy. Hey.
Whereas like down here, it's like whatever you do good and you want to spend your money, fuck, who cares? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, versus up there, it's like, oh, you're driving something nice. Fuck, you selling drugs? What are you up to? You know,
Yeah.
gossip of the town.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I know, man. I just can't help but say it again. Like when you can't make sense of it all, there's a reason. And it's
Yeah,
not because it's confusing and you're unintelligent and whatever. It's because there's lots of messery going on, you know?
yeah,
And yeah. And as long as, going back to you said how there was like 15% public, whatever wages, like government related employees. I think it's closer to like 40, if
no,
I'm
it's
being
50,
honest.
not 15, 50.
Oh, 50. Okay. Yeah.
Essentially,
I would say that's
half the working population are technically public sector government employees.
yeah, which makes sense logically because when you think how much Canadians pay in taxes, you're funding 50% of the population that does not turn a wheel unless your tax dollars pay them.
Yeah,
So those people are essentially, so if that number is true, 50% of the working base in this country does not generate any income to pay taxes from unless we first pay them with our tax dollars. Get your
yeah,
head around that. Like no wonder we got to pay so much in taxes, and they all get raises because like you said, union, this, that, whatever, right? It's like, oh, you worked here for 42 hours, time for a raise.
yeah,
All this shit's in their contracts. It's wild, man. I don't know. This is why I think people get frustrated and go, you know what? Give me a compound. I'm going to put my own flag in the ground. I like just stay out of my business, stay out of my hair. Okay.
yeah,
And I'll be fine. You
yeah.
know,
The province of Castle.
there you go. We might be taking applications. Yeah.
Oh,
Well, maybe
well, that's
on that
probably
note, buddy.
yeah, it's probably a good way to end the rant.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. Okay, ladies and gents. Well, for all the Canadians out there, this will come to you. Well, hell, it'll come out on your Monday of the May long 2-4 weekend.
There you
So
go.
happy Victoria Day or whatever the hell it is. And I guess everybody else, well, we'll have next week's Memorial Day will be coming up. So we don't got to do a pre-ramble on that one. But yeah, thanks for listening, ladies and gents.
Yeah. Till next week.